and welcome back to The Give and Go. I'm your host, Reynoso. Here's my boy,
Soltero. What's up, guys?
Folks, today we have a very special guest. The most requested collab we have ever received on our channel. Two guys who cover as many different leagues in world football and who are currently releasing 2-hour previews to the Copa America. A channel that has gone through an incredibly similar journey as The Give and Go on YouTube. I looked it up. Their first video was uploaded 2 days after ours.
Wow.
That's how tight-knit, how close we are, how much our channels parallel. They used to be known as Yankee Football. And true OGs will remember the front three football days. But today, they are known as the highly knowledgeable, the incredibly blatant, and fantastically passionate Deadball TV, folks. Deadball TV is in the
Deadball TV.
today.
What's going on, fellas?
That was incredible.
That was really nice.
I haven't heard front three football in years, man. It's been a long time.
Hey, this y'all first time meeting in person, huh?
I've never seen this man in my life.
Good Lord. That was a fantastic intro, man.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you for
it was
having
awesome.
us. We're excited to be here.
Fellas, that blows ours out of the water.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
You kidding me?
This man has notes
Beautiful,
and
man.
everything. Far more prepared than what we
Yeah, I'm the Nardwar of football podcast.
There it is. There it is. We're going to get you the hat now.
I
I
know,
about to ask us something about middle school or something.
and I do have
Yeah.
some questions related to that actually,
Oh,
because
man.
I want to just talk about you guys for a little bit before we get into the deep football analysis that we all have to give. There's a few questions I want to ask, and the first one was mentioned in the intro. What happened to Yankee football? What was that? What was the thinking when it came to switching to Deadball TV? Because I remember seeing that on my channel feed and just being like, oh shit, brand shift.
Yeah, I think it's very simple. I was thinking about the channel and kind of looking at all the content that we were talking about. And to me, Yankee football sounded way too much like we were just U.S. men's national team fans.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a U.S. men's national team fan. I'm a Mexican fan. So I was like, first off, this is weird. You support Argentina. Jake's like half Vietnamese, half German, but also supports the U.S. I was like, I don't think the name, you know, just at a glance tells people exactly what the channel's about. So we needed something a little less offensively American.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
it was
of the broad, you know, range of topics.
the name. Looking back at it, the name was kind of OD. I like it. I think it sounds good, but at the end of the day, like, yeah, we really don't. We want to expand beyond just Yankee coverage. I liked it because I thought it was like, okay, Yankees covering this, but on second, like running it back, I was like, yeah, we need something else.
There's also a lot of people who already have Yank incorporated.
Mhm.
into
Yeah, there's
their
a lot,
name.
yeah.
And we started to look like a label or something, you know, like different artists under like some music
A
group.
conglomerate.
You look like a fucking
this
CEO
is-
right now, bro. You look like a fucking label
Drop
CEO.
a diss track tonight. No, but yeah, we needed something a little broader,
Yeah.
to put it concisely.
Yeah, when we were thinking about our name, we immediately went generic. Obviously, phrases, the give and go. We had another one called like the double sub. We were considering. We almost went with that one. That could have been
pilot, we
fun.
were named the Pitch Invaders.
That's what it was. Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Pitch
Okay.
Invaders.
It's nice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I like the give and go.
The give
Yeah.
and
Give and
go
go's
is
cool.
a great place to
Yeah.
land.
I
Yeah.
think it ended up working out.
Rolls nicely.
Chose wisely.
And the logo's beautiful.
Thank you,
Yeah.
my
I'm
friend.
looking at
Thank
this
you.
gorgeous mural behind.
Thank you. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you. Yes.
Thank you, man. It's a pleasure to have you guys here. Truly, man.
It really is.
Thanks for having us.
Let's go back to middle school. All right.
Oh God, the last place I ever want to go.
I've been wanting to ask you, Jack, this question for so long because it was by pure happenstance that I saw something that really blew my mind. I might not be. This might be wrong. I might be thinking about someone else. But did you ever make reaction videos at any point in your YouTube career?
Yes.
Did you ever react to a Playboy Cardi album by any chance? And did you ever have long ass hair too?
Yes.
Damn, so it was you, bro.
Yes.
That's
yes.
crazy.
What's going on here?
With the Tarzan hair,
Yeah,
dog.
bro.
Yeah.
But let me save you here because I've mentioned how our channels parallel a lot.
Yeah,
I did reaction videos.
you did.
No way. You had a hip hop reaction channel?
I did during COVID. I did reaction videos to Led Zeppelin songs.
Oh
I found a
my
weird
gosh.
niche there for like a month. And I'll only say this on this episode. So if you're a listener, go look up on YouTube Led Zeppelin reaction and type in the name Emmanuel Flores, which is a made-up name I made up. A name I made up. It's a I did reaction videos, bro. And I think I found you through a compilation video of guys reacting to a whole lot of red or some bullshit. And I was like, is that Jack, bro? And I just wondered that for the next 2 years.
Yeah, that was me, and that album was trash. I'm gonna maintain that album was terrible. I used to have a YouTube channel. It was called The Double Cup. And I had that for probably a year and a half, and it was in the hip-hop space. It was mostly like underground stuff, and that was honestly where I made like every single possible mistake you could make with YouTube. Like terrible titles, thumbnails were horrendous, didn't know how to structure a video. I had a good time doing it, but I burnt out in the end, and it was making me like despise rap music, which is my favorite genre, so I just stopped.
Yeah, I'm with you there too, bro. That's why I stopped. Like, I don't know. It's way better to cover football and have a podcast and react to fucking 80s music.
Yeah. You ever worry the give and goes can make you burn out from football?
Dude, honestly, sometimes I do. Sometimes I do, man, because we be putting in a lot of work, and it's a lot of football watching that we have to do, but I don't know. I think the passion's there. I really do. I think the love for the sport is always going to be there. I love it too much to eventually burn out is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I could be under house arrest for 40 years, and as long as I have a Wi-Fi connection and just streaming channels, I'll be happy.
Peacock
watching
Saturday
football.
mornings.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
I still find myself, I'm like waiting for the day that I wake up and I'm like, oh, the Prem's on, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened.
Yeah, I think the problem right now is still there's too much football to watch.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
There's not enough hours in the day to truly watch everything that I want to. That's
I feel like the challenge, like if you covered something like American football, would be like, what do you do in the off season? You're just talking about trades or transfers or what have you, and we don't have that issue. There's always something going on.
Dude, you could argue the biggest things to talk about are during the offseason, a la the Euros and Copa America.
Yeah,
right.
You know,
Exactly.
It's like, it actually gets harder in the offseason. Now we got to make daily uploads about this godforsaken tournament.
At ungodly hours of the day.
At ungodly hours of the day that we love talking about. So,
yeah, there's going to be a period of time where there's like 6 games going on a day where the Euros and Copa America collide this summer. It's going to be ridiculous.
Are you guys covering Euros?
Yes, but not as heavy as...
You're prioritizing Copa?
We're prioritizing.
Oh, that's Copa America, for sure. Here in the States, baby.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Fighting that Eurocentric vision is like one of like the founding principles of Deadball.
Yeah.
We were like, can't stand this. Can't stand this. It's like, it's got to be a two-way street. You've got to appreciate the good things from both tournaments. And I feel like with Copa America, you get too much like hate, or not necessarily even hate, but just like dismission. Like,
there's I see so many comments when it comes to Copa America that it's like a brawl. It's like a really physical type of tournament. But I mean, you could if you really wanted to, you could destroy every tournament and just take it down. AFCON, it's too dramatic. Like, where's the consistency? Like, there's so much you could pinpoint, but like, what's the point? Let's just enjoy soccer. Yeah.
Well, dude, you know what drives me crazy about some of that? It's like, okay, when you do it, I get to watch on the Brexit tackles compilations on TikTok, and I love it. But the second it happens in Copa America, you're like, it's not civilized. And I'm like, whoa, hold on.
Exactly.
What's going on?
Dude, exactly.
Yeah, there's an art. There's an art to studs up tackles. And Cuti Romero has it cornered right now.
Yes.
South Americans got it down. Monopoly on the studs up tackles right now.
Harry Maguire's in the mud.
Yeah, he probably got him beat on set pieces, maybe. Maybe not Otamendi, but
with his big ass head. I don't know.
And South America has you pretty down right now because you just visited South America, my friend. Any quick comment on that? Because you said that you just got here yesterday from a 2-month trip in South America.
Yeah, man, that's how bad I wanted to be on the Give and Go podcast. I landed, briefly said hello to my parents, jumped in the whip, and drove off. I appreciate that. 500 milligrams of caffeine today, and I'm barely holding it together. But dude, it was an amazing trip. I don't know how many of your viewers have had the opportunity to go to South America. I know you guys have been to Colombia and Argentina. Yeah. It's a magical place, man. Just like the Copa America, I think South America, I just think it's slept on.
Yeah, no.
I really do.
What did you get any jerseys out there in South America?
Dude, I dropped so much money on jerseys while I was out there.
What'd you get? List them out.
Dude, okay, so I got a Chanclas jersey from Peru.
Okay.
It's like one of the like newer, kind of lesser known clubs in Cusco.
Yeah, I don't know them.
I got La U. I got a La U jersey, the 100-year anniversary. Fire. I got the Ecuador national team warm-up jersey.
Oh, nice.
Sorry, jacket. Then I got the home kit. Then I got the Independiente de Valle kit, the pink one, which is my favorite.
Hell yeah.
I'm a IDV Ultra. And I like to say that because all my Ecuadorian friends hate Independiente because
they're like
The,
successful.
they're the Man City of Ecuador, basically.
Yeah.
Like hella money, no fans. So that naturally, that's why I gravitated towards them. Jersey just so fire.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Those Marathon jerseys
They
are
don't miss,
gorgeous.
bro.
They do not miss. They've got to be more accessible up here because I would cop instantly. Instantly. I see them all the time in New York too.
Really?
They're all over the place.
Oh, dope.
Dude, and it's always the wildest interaction, I think, probably for them, because they just see like some white guy staring at them on the subway, and I'm like, and they're like, yo. They're like, oh, thanks, bud. What the hell?
That's crazy, man. South America. I'm glad you're back home safe. Welcome back to the States.
Thank you, man.
Let's talk some football, yeah?
Let's
talk some
footy.
football.
Wait,
That's what we're here to
real
do.
quick. I have one last question though.
Yeah.
So
Alright, never mind.
your parents are Argentine?
So
how does this work?
My dad is first generation American. Basically, right before things got really dodgy in the 70s, my grandparents got out of Argentina, Buenos Aires, and then they headed straight to Texas. My grandfather was in like the airline industry or something like that. And yeah, Houston was kind of booming. So they stayed in one of like the oldest hotels in Houston for like a month, drained all their money into that place, and then got a place out in Conroe. So I'm like a really weird blend of, like Austin, Texas, yee culture, and Argentina.
Dang, so you're an actual like Argentina supporter, I guess. Boca, right?
Boquita.
In the family.
Boquita in the family.
Dude, that's awesome,
I know
man.
we've got a stray faction in Buenos Aires that likes Independiente. Santi, I'm looking at you. But
He's from the interior.
he's from the interior.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, bueno.
Well, you must be feeling good. Boca just beat
Boca
River
just,
in the
that's
quarters.
why I had to rep
Yeah.
it. He was like,
They
"What
killed
jersey
him,
are you
too.
gonna wear?" And I was like, "I gotta bust it out.
Yeah,
I gotta
you
bust
have
it
to.
out."
Are you related to Alexis McAllister in any way?
Colo Barco, actually,
Oh, Marco, yeah.
which he had a bad day today with Brighton, but
they
hey,
got massive.
we take it in
Yeah,
stride.
absolutely.
But yeah, those are my guys. Actually, funny story about McAllister. When I went, there's this awesome bar that all of the Argentines would go to during the World Cup in New York. It's called the Joyce Public House. If you're Argentine and you want to ball out for the Copa America, go there. Awesome. I will be there.
We might pull up.
We're gonna have to pull up. It was insane. I've never been around that many Argentines in my life, but I remember I didn't have any problems for the group stage games, but when they played Australia and Australia scored, I remember 4 or 5 of the guys that I'd been watching with turned around and looked at me, and they were like, "Gringo, Australiano," and I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Hell no!" And I was like, "McAllister," and they were like, "Okay, McAllister."
It's like your safe word.
That was my safe word, yeah. I was like, "How am I Australian speaking to you in fluent Spanish right now? You think I'm Australian? Okay, all right."
Well, then that's perfect because with Jack, I see a lot of comments in your videos about people asking what you are,
Yes.
where you're from.
Yes.
And
You
I'm
ain't
just
gonna
as
get a straight
curious, my
answer.
friend.
So my mom's side of the family is originally from Spain. Then they migrated to Mexico, lived there for 100 years, moved to Texas, and then Texas became part of the United States. And so I have Mexican and Spanish ancestry on my mom's side. And on my dad's side, honestly, I think for the sake of engagement, I'm just going to leave that a secret. Let y'all keep guessing.
I like that.
Whoa.
I love the amount of comments. I've probably been
Nigeria.
asked if I'm 55. Only one time. I've probably been
Go
asked
follow
if I'm
one-time
50.
switch.
bro. Hey, with those kits they got, I'll follow the one-time switch. Actually, no, Mexico's got better kits right now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Plus, I have a feud with the Nigerian fan base that bubbles up every once in a while when I call them out. But yeah, bro, I love just letting people guess.
Okay. No, yeah, I like that. Play into that.
If I guess correctly, will you say it's right or no?
I'll give you 2 guesses, and if it's correct, yes.
You will say?
Shit, that is big.
Okay,
This is
shit.
big.
All right.
Hold on.
This is big.
Oh, okay.
Fuck,
Okay.
man, don't blow this, man.
Yeah.
They're like, can you imagine how many people wish they could do this right now that watch their videos?
Right, I get 2 huge chances,
God
and that's it.
damn.
They're screaming at the channel
Oh
right
my
now.
God.
They're like,
All right.
Uzbekistan, Uzbekistan.
Go for the steps.
Okay, I can go there.
It's like GeoGuessr.
Kyrgyzstan.
No, man, no.
That would have been wild, though.
No.
Would have been wild. It's Asia, though, right?
He's not even going to give that.
Too broad.
Okay. Okay, interesting.
He's like an island, bro.
Yeah. Or maybe like some sort of community within South America.
That'd be crazy if you didn't.
20 years I've known this
That'd be
man.
crazy
He
if you
keeps
didn't.
me guessing. Every once in a while, he'll throw a curveball, and I'm like, hold on. That doesn't add up.
Like, I was at Thanksgiving at your house.
I was there that day. Now you're just lying.
Let's say Mongolian.
Yeah, that could be good. Vietnamese.
No, that's the other member of DeadballTV, Jake.
Oh, okay.
Jake, yeah.
His
He's
mother-
Vietnamese?
His mother's Vietnamese. Yeah.
Viet German, yeah.
Damn.
I gave it a good go.
Yeah, I guess we'll never
Well,
know.
I guess now everybody can permanently write off Kyrgyzstan and Vietnam.
Okay.
Absolutely. Please let us know in the comment section down below what you think Jack, where you think Jack is from.
Win a free jersey if you get it right.
Any other questions before I proceed with hosting this football show?
Please, go ahead,
All
please.
right. Folks, we have the UEFA Champions League semifinals underway, and we have not previewed it yet because I wanted to wait until the Deadball TV boys were in attendance. I'd love to know where you guys stand on these two matchups, Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund versus PSG. I mean, we can go in depth or we can just say on the surface who we have winning. I don't know how y'all want to approach this, but you know what? I'm going to pick one of you to start. It's going to be Connor.
All right. Let's start with Dortmund PSG first because, I mean, when we get to the other side of the table, I don't have a lot to say. Dortmund and PSG have looked probably more competent than I think I've ever seen them. Ironically enough, you know, they've just lost Messi and Neymar, and I mean, they don't even have Di Maria, right? I was a huge PSG guy when Ibrahimovic and Cavani were there.
Verratti,
Matuidi.
Yeah.
My God, it was gorgeous.
Thiago
That was my.
Silva,
I
baby.
love that on. Oh, Thiago Silva. That was like my FIFA main. Anytime anybody busted out the big guns, I was like, cool, PSG, let's go. I don't see a way, and I got a couple buddies that are Dortmund fans, and I love Dortmund. I like them. I don't see a way that Dortmund makes it out. I don't see a way that they don't make it out of there, battered and bruised. They've got a really lovely low block that they implement from time to time, but I just don't think that their attacking power is going to hold up against PSG. I don't think they got the juice.
Yeah, I'll add on there and say that I will be blown away if Dortmund make the final. And I actually think what's happened with Dortmund in this UCL campaign is very Dortmund-esque. I think they're kind of like I'm a Spurs fan, for anybody who doesn't know. And I feel like there's a lot of similarities between Dortmund and Spurs. The only difference is like Dortmund actually like have won a couple trophies recently. But I feel like Dortmund love to get close, and they love to get agonizingly close. And they're very capable. We've seen this in other seasons where they do pull off an upset. I'm not gonna. We can talk about the let the game if you want. I'm not sure.
Careful.
Bro, come on now. Like,
Oh, it's going south.
I
It's going south
feel
already.
like Atleti were probably favored in that fixture. Would you agree?
I did favor them, but not by much.
Okay, so
Not by
maybe
much.
like a little slight upset. But the fact that they're in a Champions League semifinal, I feel like is overachieving. I don't know how many people had them this far. Now they're coming up against a very informed team. I agree. This kind of new look PSG with a much more revitalized, a lot of young guys in this squad. They look good. Look like they're firing on all cylinders. They've looked great against Barcelona.
When they were up a man.
Yeah, when they
Yeah.
were.
I'll
That's
bring
true.
that up.
When
They
they-
looked
that's
great
true.
when they were up a man, but
Yeah.
when they weren't, I thought Barca outplayed them.
Barca has some really nice, beautiful play. They're slowly eking back into that realm.
Had a couple close calls.
Yeah.
In that even when they were down a man. I mean, that Rafinha missed it. Like,
Dude,
yeah.
Rafinha remembered how to play football.
Yeah, that's the best.
good.
Yeah. Brazil needs that. We'll get in the
Brazil
Copa
needs
later.
So then you're going PSG.
Yes, and I think they'll win by 2 goals.
Okay. Okay, Salts?
Yeah, just to slightly play devil's advocate, the only way I can see Dortmund doing a good job against PSG is actually going to be their offense.
Yeah.
I think Füllkrug, obviously classic number 9, he can get big, he can get very effective in the box. And then Jadon Sancho's been good. He's been good since he returned back to Dortmund.
Yep.
If Daniel Malen is healthy, I just don't know if he is. I don't think he will. I think that would be such a huge impact because he's so good off of the dribble penetration. I wish he was healthy just so we could see a fully, a full front 3 of Dortmund. But then Julian Brandt too. Honestly, out of all the creative midfielders out there, I love Julian Brandt, and I rate him so highly, and he can do a lot. Even against this PSG defense, I won't be surprised if Dortmund get a couple goals here over the course of 2 legs. My problem with Dortmund is there is no way that they'll be able to contain PSG's offense. Yeah. There is no way. No way. They let in way too many goals against Atletico, and Atletico's offense was shit in both games. They got way too nervous in that first leg, and in the second leg, there were some really bad mistakes from Dortmund. So that's going to continue, especially when you have Dembele and Mbappe running at you. They're going to leak goals like crazy. Yeah. So there's just no way that Dortmund will be able to manage PSG's offense. So if their defense was better, I'd give them a much louder shout here. But I just can't. It's got to be PSG to win this one.
Yeah, I think there's a factor also of PSG hosting the second match at home, now needing a result. I think they'll be able to get a really good result over in Dortmund. As long as they get a tie, I think they're good to go. Offensively, I think the Mbappe effect, which hasn't been mentioned yet, will come into play, pursuing that Ballon d'Or. And, the fact that he was kind of kept quiet ultimately against Barcelona, I don't think that happens again against a weaker defense by far in Dortmund, who, like you said, struggled to contain Atletico's mediocre offense ultimately. I think it's going to show, but I do think it's kind of wild that all 4 of us are going PSG on this one, because time and time again this whole season I've doubted Dortmund at every single corner, and they've proven me wrong.
Have you not doubted PSG? Because I've personally doubted PSG for a long time as well.
Yeah, I did. I thought their midfield was way too inexperienced, especially when they started Vitinha and Zaire Emery. I was like, these guys are like below 22, 17 years old. Ugarte as well. I just didn't think that was the midfield experience needed to win a UEFA Champions League. But in that sense, they have, in a way, proven me somewhat wrong.
But Barca would have won.
Yeah, exactly.
Barca would have won.
I'm saying, just somewhat.
PSG, they're lucky to be here.
I do
just
think
like Dortmund
has been playing really well, though.
Oh, no, he's been immense.
Vitinha's been good.
Yeah, I think he superseded what I thought he could do. But the rest, I do think, showed in the Barcelona matchup that they aren't up to that level. So, yes, I've doubted them for sure.
You'd give PSG the managerial edge as well.
You have to.
Against Terzic?
Yeah,
surely.
I think you definitely would. For me, Terzic, he has to go all out against PSG, but that gets really tricky because if you do, then you're going to be so exposed. And considering that they let in so many goals against Atletico, I just think I'm really curious to see what Terzic does in this. Does he go with the defensive scheme? But he shouldn't, because the first leg is in Dortmund. He should take advantage of that and go as offensive as he can, because Dortmund's best chance of winning this tie is going to be in the first 45 minutes in Dortmund.
But I don't even, fellas, the managers to me don't even factor into it because of the Mbappe effect. Like, he's played so much better against better opponents. Like, this is coming from an Argentine. I don't like Mbappe. He is the best player in the world. He's the best player in the world, and he's capable of phenomenal things. And I think this is going to be the start. This is it.
Right Agreed.
Here. Yeah, and I'm going to say, like, one of, I hate to call this man out by name, but Schlotterbeck for Dortmund, I just feel like he's going to get cooked. I've seen this guy get shredded like cheese way too many times, especially when he plays against very aggressive wingers like Dembele and Mbappe are. I just think he's going to have a long 180 minutes in this fixture. I really do.
I completely agree. Also, the fullbacks for Dortmund are not defensive. They're very offensive minded. Maatsen and Ryerson, they're great going forward. It makes Dortmund a fun team. But when you have to track back for 180 minutes, Dembele and Mbappe, they're done. There's absolutely no way they contain them that well. So, yeah, I agree.
Dortmund are winning now.
That's what I'm really scared about, bro. Like,
Dortmund 3-0 at home.
It's 4 guys predicting PSG. This is what happens. But what do you have to say to the people in the comments that are like, you guys are doubting Dortmund? What would you guys say in response?
I would say it's justified.
Yeah?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, dude, this happens with a lot of different fan bases I don't understand. I'm going to highlight the Jamaicans here. Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah.
Because I told you I have several ongoing wars with several fan bases, and the Jamaicans are one of those. Yeah. And it's because I doubt Jamaica because of what has happened in the past. Yeah. It's not because I have anything against the Caribbean islands. It's because Jamaica have time and time again failed. And they've time and time again disappointed, and they've underachieved. In Dortmund, yes, they're the second team in the Bundesliga, but they've choked titles away. They've choked opportunities to win silverware away. They've always shown a softer underbelly than Bayern Munich, who when the heat gets turned up, usually this season, not really outside of the Champions League, that's when they perform the best. Whereas Dortmund, the pressure, it doesn't make diamonds, it breaks them up. Mm-hmm. So I would say we're not like Dortmund haters. It's just we've observed a behavior for so long, and you want us to bet against that? You know, it's like actions speak louder than words type thing. And the actions of Dortmund over the past few years is they kind of bottle it.
Oh, absolutely, dude. If in that first leg in Spain against Atletico, the quarterfinals, Dortmund crumbled. Yeah. Crumbled in those first 30 minutes. A better team than Atletico would have scored 4 or 5. But Atletico only got 2, and that's why Dortmund were able to stay in the match and ultimately beat them in the second leg. But if they crumble in the same way against PSG, the game's gone in the first 60 minutes.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, Barcola, Dembele was great in the Barcelona matchup, really surprising. The offensive weapons are there. Nuno Mendes was great. Hakimi might be back as well. I think PSG sees a golden opportunity here to get to that final that they've been thirsting for so long. I think they're going to take it. I think they'll take it because, I mean, to get drawn against Dortmund in the semifinal, that is ultimately a gift in the grand scheme of the Champions League. When you look at the other side and you have 2 big historic clubs going at it, PSG cannot blow this, because if they do end up losing in this matchup, I mean, I'm going to be pissed off. Bro. Pissed off because I'm so confident in them beating them. But then once again, the Dortmund effect comes into play where they prove us wrong once again. So I don't want them to. I think I would consider it a choke job if PSG does end up losing this matchup.
Oh, without a doubt.
They're the better team, and we all have them going through.
I'm just ready for the Der Klassiker in the Champions League final, baby. That's what I'm ready for, man.
The least likely final.
Literally,
it would be fun.
What is going on? But like that would make sense. It would make sense if somehow Dortmund and Bayern, the 2 teams that everyone's like counting out, somehow make it to the final. And what a banger of a final that would be.
And the Euros are in Germany this year. Maybe it'd be a foreshadowing of something.
God damn.
It'd be crazy.
Leverkusen wins
Leverkusen wins the Europa League. Oh
we
my
go to
God.
Germany.
German power this year.
You guys aren't coming back.
No.
Let's look at the other matchup then. We have Real Madrid facing off against the mighty Bayern Munich. Connor, I went with you first last time, so let me go over to my co-host for this one. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, how are you feeling going into this matchup? 2 big names, really exciting to see. I think it's going to be a very entertaining matchup. But as for the scoreline, who's winning it?
I just don't think Bayern Munich's defense can handle any version of Rodrigo, Vinicius, and Jude Bellingham. I really don't. What is it? Eric Dyer, some version of Kim Min-jae, maybe Upamecano. They're good defenders, but the way Madrid played against Manchester City, and Manchester City have a very good defense, they broke them several times. They're going to do the same thing against Bayern Munich. So the question then becomes, can Bayern score as many goals against Real Madrid? And I think the answer is no. You have Harry Kane, who's obviously elite in front of goal. Leroy Sané had actually a really good quarterfinals against Arsenal. I was really impressed with his attack. It was good. But it's nothing new. It's nothing new to Real Madrid's defense. They're going to be fine. Tchouameni's the next best center back. He has all of the confidence for Carlo Ancelotti. I just see Madrid as a complete team. The way they bunkered in against Manchester City, and then the way they hit them out on the counter, they can beat any team playing like that. Bayern's good, but Madrid's better.
I heard somebody say, or I read somebody like tweet out or something, that Real Madrid is the greatest footballing institution in the world. And it's true. Yeah. It's true. I just figured, after Messi, Ronaldo left, something would switch up. Maybe we'd have a little bit of turnover. There'd be some more parity. But, I mean, Real Madrid is the truth. They're the truth. And I was forced to admit that. Being a Manchester City guy, I was forced to admit that when I watched those games, because they were spectacular. Spectacular. Yeah. I mean, there's no way that you can doubt it. You really can't. They're inevitable. Yeah, and this is I'm a huge fan of the intangibles. I didn't want to start on this side of the bracket when you gave me the ball. Dude, Real Madrid, this is their tournament too. Yeah. It's a lock. It's a lock. I do think that the only team capable of stopping them is Bayern Munich, because they also have the Champions League pedigree, but I don't see any way that they make it past.
Yeah, man. I feel like having Tuchel is a big pro. I mean, I know people don't like the brand of football that he plays, but it is good in this type of knockout style football. And I love my boy Harry Kane. I'm really struggling to come up with other reasons why Bayern could pull off the upset here. Because, the smart money take is we're about to get a PSG Real Madrid final.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw the question back out. What is the argument for Bayern in this game? Is it?
I don't think you can make one. They're a great team. Obviously, they're semifinal caliber for sure. But the fact that they're playing Madrid, I don't think you can really say that Bayern can go through. I don't think you can.
I would just say Madrid going into the matchup too confident, getting too cocky after defeating the best test in Manchester City, and Bayern Munich just taking advantage of that. I think that's one of the factors that maybe. The first one is
in Germany.
It's in Germany.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real. They gotta win.
They have to
Probably by 3 goals.
Yeah.
Going back
to secure it.
To secure it, man.
To feel somewhat good, 2 goals, 1 goal is not enough.
No,
not enough. But to kind of go back to the point I was trying to make was that mental obstacle they went through facing off against Manchester City. You mentioned how you thought there might be some sort of overlap with Ronaldo leaving and Real Madrid kind of losing their grip on the title after Manchester City won it last year. Mentally overcoming Manchester City, and say what you will about that matchup because we had a lot to say about it. They still overcame it, man. They pulled it off. They defeated the mighty Pep Guardiola Manchester City team that was looking to beat them back-to-back times in the UEFA Champions League. And that just says so much to me about the pedigree, the history, and just the overall confidence that's going to give to this Real Madrid team. I think that to them was their final. And winning it now, they just got to play the level that they can play at consistently. I think the trophy's there truly if they show up the way that we expect them to.
I love that take. I love that.
Thank you, bro.
They played the final already. That's perfect, bro. I love it.
I was looking at you the whole time too. It's kind of fire,
dude. It was good. It was good. That hit me. Right here.
Entirely too positive. Right?
Just about to bring us down. It's like back to the Jamaicans. You're right though. They played the final, and if they just play consistently, like what a statement. Like if they just play to the caliber that they're capable of, not even their best. They've got it locked up.
That's exactly what I'm saying. They don't have to play their best football. They already kind of did.
Yeah.
So now they're going to be not good against Bayern, but they should be able to beat them.
Yes. Yeah. They can, and they're so good. They're so good, and Ancelotti has them so in line that they can take their foot off the gas and not absolutely play the game of their lives. They're not going to be mentally, physically exhausted. Probably physically, yes. There's a few more older guys there, but I mean, you've got the perfect blend of experience and young talent. People like Jude Bellingham and Luka Modric. Dude, Luka Modric, when he came on against Manchester City in the second leg, I was furious because I was like, surely we got this.
Yeah.
Surely Rodri's the best 6 in the world. I've been saying that forever. Surely we're going to be. I mean, he is, yes. Yeah. Modric was like, you might be the best 6 in the world. This is my trophy.
Yeah.
This is mine. I'm going to put the headband on and everything. Look, straight out of your 90s nightmare or your early 2000s nightmare. Dude. Yeah, I think they've got it. I'm bullish on Real Madrid.
That's scary then because basically we're saying Madrid's going to win the whole thing then.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't want to start over here because to me it's not a question anymore.
Yeah.
They're just, their midfield is stacked, man.
It's disgusting.
The wingers are filth as well. Rudiger's been an animal.
Yeah.
I mean... Even Carvajal, like, Jesus Christ.
I hate playing against him, bro. I hate rooting against that guy.
I hate him. What are we going to do when Mbappe goes there? Because it's done. Yeah. It's done now. We're just waiting.
Yeah. Going into what we predict will be a Manchester, Jesus Christ. Fucking Real Madrid PSG final. What's the biggest narrative going into that game? Is it regarding Mbappe? Is it regarding Bellingham? Or what is this? Is it just Madrid chasing, their 15th UEFA Champions League trophy? What's the biggest narrative for this final that we're setting up?
I'm going to be praying for PSG to win it, for Mbappe to actually pull off what PSG have been trying to do for over 10 years. Yeah. I think that's the bigger narrative.
Send-off year?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can PSG just get it? Can they get their hands on the title?
I think the storylines are amazing for this tournament unless Real Madrid win. Because then the narrative, and that sounds very disrespectful to any Madristas, but I don't like Real Madrid, so I'm all right with that. Mm-hmm. Like, it'd be like the Warriors winning again. You know, it's getting redundant. It's like, okay, we already know you're a dynasty. We already know that you own this tournament. I guess it's impressive that you've done this again with a fairly young team. But think of the vibes and think of the headlines if Bayern Munich win. Like, I'm going to go back to Harry Kane. Everyone's been trolling this man saying he's cursed, and he wins the Champions League. Dortmund, a team that probably most people in the round of 16 thought were going to lose.
Yeah.
A team that choked away the league, and now they're going to come back and win a Champions League final. Unreal. And PSG, a team that probably the most expensive team ever assembled, couldn't do it, lost in a final. Then they get rid of Neymar and Messi. They have a pretty revitalized, a lot of young players in this team, new manager, and they freaking win against Real Madrid. Like, it would be a beautiful thing for the world, unless Real Madrid won again. And then it's kind of like, well, damn, dude, you know?
What's new?
What's new?
But isn't that, in a way, the UEFA Champions League, though? Right? At least over the last 15 years, it's almost there isn't anything new. It just is about royalty. It's about dynasty. So I think Madrid winning again would just make so much sense. But I honestly, I think the only team that could maybe beat them would be PSG, simply because PSG just gets one try. Over 2 legs, I would back Madrid all, like, 99 out of 100 times. But since it would be one final, I'd actually give PSG a decent chance.
Mbappe in finals, and I think there's an argument that the best player on the pitch would be on PSG's team.
There we go, yeah.
I think there's a factor there of just 90 minutes, big game moments, who steps up.
Yeah.
Bellingham's only 20 years old, folks. Maybe something happens. I think that's the only way that we could see it happening, but it would be incredible, bro. It'd be incredible to see PSG pull that off. And ultimately, would you guys predict that, or are we going Real Madrid all the way?
I'm going Madrid all the way.
You're like scared?
I'm going Madrid all the way. I wish I wasn't.
I'm a piggyback on that, and I wish I wasn't either.
Yeah.
I think it's Madrid all the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to say something crazy right now?
So far, all of our predictions have been the same.
They've all been the same.
All of them have been the same.
So bad.
Just wait till Copa America. We're gonna have some discussions.
There we go.
If I'm going to call the upset, I need to see how the semifinal goes. Before I
Okay,
I
yeah.
tell you PSG is going to win, I need to see how they take care of Dortmund. If they squeak by on pens, I got no conviction. If they beat them 5-2 on Ag, now we're talking.
Yeah. But what if Dortmund's just shit, you know?
Yeah, which they could be.
They could be. They definitely could be. They just get caught by Mbappe in a really bad game.
I don't think Real are invincible. Like,
No,
I don't think they are
this is
either.
far from the best team they've ever had. So, especially over one leg, if PSG just shows up, they could do it.
Yeah.
They really could. Dortmund, I mean, good Lord. I mean, maybe they could do it too, but they got to have like a 10 out of 10. Real Madrid have to have like a 3 out of 10 game. That would be, I think, maybe one of the greatest upsets we've seen since
Dude,
2004.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
100%.
It'd be incredible. And that's what I want to happen. Just for anybody watching at home, I would love a
Chaos.
Dortmund win.
That'd
I
be
would love a Dortmund win. I
insane,
objectively dislike all 3 of these other teams. I have more respect for Bayern Munich, I'll say. But
I don't.
I like this new PSG. I like the current PSG. I like Egon Yen. I'd love to see him get something.
Yeah.
And I love Kim Min-jae and Harry Kane on Bayern too. But yeah, if I had to pick one, I'd pick Dortmund out of like, again, vibes, dude. Storylines, unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Dortmund in a final would be
Dude, how
crazy.
down? Hold on. How down bad? How down bad is Gio Reyna that he leaves Dortmund on a transfer to Forest and they win the Champions League?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, he
I'm
didn't
here for
play
that,
much.
honestly.
No.
No Bellingham, and that's when they make it to the
That's when
Champions
they
League
make it. Yeah, no Holland.
No
Yeah.
Holland. This is the golden generation year. This is when it happens for them. Thing is, you went Madrid. You're going Dortmund. Where are you going?
To win it all?
To win it all right now, without conviction, without knowing the results.
I'm going PSG.
And I'm joining you right there, brother.
Yeah?
I'm going PSG as
Nice.
well.
All right.
I want it. I want it that bad. I want Mbappe with that silverware. I want him to win the trophy in front of Madrid fans at Wembley Stadium.
Ooh.
And then go over to join them the year after to continue winning more trophies. I want that narrative, and I'm going to be rooting for it.
Oh, man, I just think Madrid have more killers. That's the only problem, man. Like, if you had to bet on who would pop off more, I'm betting Bellingham, Rodrigo, Vinicius over PSG's front 3. Mbappe, I'd bet on him. But the other 2, You know, I just think that class that Madrid have, the work rate of Valverde, Camavinga too, I think they would outwork even Vitinha. And he's a really good player. So it's just like, I think for Madrid to lose, it'll take a lot. It can be done, though.
I don't think there's a logical perspective here for PSG winning. That's not where I'm getting at. You're right. Yeah. Logically, it's in the cards for Real Madrid. I'm just going to have to go off of football, I don't know, fucking heritage. I don't know where to go with it.
Heritage.
Story,
yeah, dude.
Mbappe, Hat trick in the
Sometimes you just got
final.
a feeling, man.
Sometimes you got to feel it on this one.
I mean, didn't you have a feeling when Liverpool played Madrid?
Yeah, but that was rooted in my own bias.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
You talking about when Salah went down?
Well,
Yes.
there's multiple times. What
Yeah.
you want to talk about, bro?
Oh man,
Hey,
that was brutal. I was even going for Liverpool then.
Oh, dude, me too. When Salah went down, I was also for Egypt. For Egypt that year, I was like, oh my god, like the worst timing.
Worst timing.
Yes.
Yeah.
On to the next tournament. Yes, as we continue down this string of tournaments to talk about, we have the Europa League semifinals awaiting us between Marseille and Atalanta, and then Bayer Leverkusen versus Roma. Now, we spoke previously before the shoot that we're not too well versed in these teams because we've been covering other tournaments, and that's okay. But I still want to hear your predictions. I still want to hear what you guys have to say about these teams involved. And specifically, I'll start with you, Jack, this time. Let's go with Leverkusen Roma. Who are you going with on this one?
man, first off, I think this fixture is a banger. Like, this probably should be the final, but we're getting in the semis. And, dude, man, I flip-flopped on this so many times. I think smart money again, like, Leverkusen just won't die, bro. They're like a Resident Evil in the first one. Y'all remember with, like, they don't know that you got to do headshots yet, so they're just giving body shots to the zombies, and they keep getting back up. I feel like that's everybody with Leverkusen. Nobody's figured out how to kill this damn thing yet.
Yeah.
Even though Roma have been really, really good recently.
Yep.
Yeah.
So both teams are scorching hot. Leverkusen are chasing an invincible treble. Is it treble or are they going for four?
Treble.
Treble?
Treble.
Yeah.
Treble.
That's
Okay,
three,
okay.
yeah.
Just a three.
Let's keep it reasonable here.
I think I have to go Leverkusen because I think they have the best players in this matchup, especially at the fullback position. Florian Wirtz, good lord.
Oof.
I don't know how much money that man's going for. Not that Roma have a bunch of scrubs. I mean,
No,
Dybala's
no,
having
no.
another
Dybala's good
very,
season.
very good season. They have talent, but yeah, until somebody has the blueprint to beat Xabi Alonso, I can't bet against him. So I think it's going to be a shootout. I'm thinking maybe like a 5-3, 5-4 Leverkusen, something like that on Ag.
Yeah.
To be fair, did Roma not beat Leverkusen last year in the
1-0, right, on
the-
Ag?
Yeah,
Europa League, right?
Yeah, I think so, right?
So
Did they?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So they'd be the ones that do have the blueprint to defeat Xabi Alonso. Although,
That was the Mourinho blueprint, though.
yeah, that
Yeah,
was
that's different.
And that was
Hey,
also
that's locked up in the safe. That's no longer
Mourinho
accessible.
took
100%.
everything. He said, "Oh, I'm out. Word.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
burning it down."
100%.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
an explosion the night before he had to leave the Roma offices. Yeah, I'm going Leverkusen.
Leverkusen.
It's actually a
Have
good
to.
point, though, because I don't know if the Mourinho blueprint would beat this Leverkusen since they're so dynamic. It almost takes the same sort of dynamism to beat, I think, this Leverkusen side. We kind of saw it a little bit with Karabaj. They just went all out against Leverkusen, and it almost worked.
Exactly.
So I think if this version of Roma, since they're so offensive nowadays, over the last couple months, they might have a decent chance here. I agree, though. This is going to be a banger of a match. Like, honestly, maybe even over like Dortmund PSG, I'm going to be keyed in on this matchup straight up. But yeah, I'm just going to go Leverkusen simply because of the form that they're in and the legacy that they're going for the treble.
100%. I don't have much else to add to that. It's really well said. I mean, they're a phenomenal team. They're on an absolute roll. And yeah, I just can't come up with enough reasons for Roma to overcome that. And I say that with them having an Argentine coach, Dybala there. I just can't. I can't do it.
Yeah, I think when we make predictions on this show, always look at the games building up to the match that we're predicting to kind of assess my analysis. Leverkusen has a perfect build-up, bro.
Yeah.
It's a perfect. They have not lost this entire season. So I'd be a fool. I'd be a fool to pick against that. I'd be a fool. No matter how hot Roma has been ever since they fired Mourinho, props to them. It's been incredible. And the fact that it is an Italian team they're facing off against, I think will make it really tricky for Leverkusen because they thrive in these situations. I have to go Leverkusen. I have to. It's what they've earned that respect in terms of predictions analysis because they've been that great this whole season. And I want them to achieve that treble. I want Xabi to completely shine with this team. Now that they've won the Bundesliga, it's time to keep it going and win the next biggest trophy in the Europa League.
Yeah.
Am I tripping to say that of the 4 semifinals we're talking about, this is the one where the underdog is most likely to win? I think Roma have a good chance here.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at it. They're averaging 2 goals a game.
Who's the underdog in Marseille Atalanta?
Gotta be Marseille.
It's
Gotta be Marseille.
Gotta be
Yeah.
Marseille.
Yeah.
I'm pretty bearish on the French league. I think just overall,
You see a bunch of farmers.
bunch of farmers, cheesemakers,
Sculptors.
even. They got poets' hands.
Milkman.
Genuinely, I mean, I want to come up with an excuse for Marseille to win. I like Marseille. I don't think they got the juice against Atalanta. I very much am rating Serie A. I think it's probably the second most exciting league to watch. Jack's been trying to get me back into La Liga, but I think the Italians
La
are cooking.
Liga's.
Yeah.
The Italians are cooking
There's
right
a
now.
lot of trash games.
Look, get Morata out of Atletico, and I'm in. I'm bought. I'm sold.
Yeah.
But
Definitely need help there.
but yeah, dude, I think the Italians got something. I think they got something for Marseille. I think they're ready. I think Atalanta's like, look at our run up. We like being a little quiet. We don't want all that much attention here. I'm worried for my boy Balderi, I think his name is. He's been playing at Marseille, Argentino.
Yeah.
Trying to break into the national team squad, and I
Your
don't
cousin
think.
or something?
I talk about him like he is.
Talk
bro.
about your relative.
Yeah, that's my boy. I followed him on Instagram thinking he was going to be next up, and it's taken him a while, but he'll get there.
He's in Marseille.
Yeah, he's in Marseille, right?
Yeah, big move on the way.
Big move on the way.
I agree, though. I mean, Marseille have some fun players,
Yeah.
right? Aubameyang's trying to revitalize his career back in France, which is kind of cool. You also have Ndiaye, really good player, really great off the dribble. Moroccan Unahi's great in midfield. But I just think overall, Atalanta's a better, well-drilled machine.
Yes.
And what the performance that they put in against Liverpool was too calculated for me to think Marseille can take that. So I got to go Atalanta here.
Dude.
Yeah, Atalanta's in really good form right now. I saw them play yesterday in the Coppa Italia semifinal against Fiorentina. Bro, Scamacca. He scored a scissors kick / bicycle kick goal that was ridiculous, and I just think they scored 4 goals in that match.
Yeah.
I think they're in really good form right now. They're really confident. Their fans are buying into whatever they're doing right now because that stadium is rocking, especially when they hosted Liverpool. It was a beautiful thing to see. They beat down one of England's finest teams. I really like Atalanta's chances going into this matchup, but then more specifically, even the final, bro. Like, I think that Atalanta-Leverkusen final that we're predicting, that's incredibly close, man. Especially if Atalanta's going into it hot.
Yeah.
100%. You know, the biggest loser from the semifinal was the team that you're wearing right now.
Yeah.
How'd y'all let Scamacca go, dude?
I'm not part of them.
Oh, you're not? Oh, okay, my bad.
He's like, I like the colors.
Just like wearing jerseys.
I mean, David Moyes, biggest loser from the semifinal here that he couldn't make that guy work. Yeah, Scamacca's like completely revived his career. 9 goals, 4 assists in 24. Absolutely on fire. And I was looking at Marseille. You said that Atalanta has a more complete team. I completely agree. I mean, basically, if Aubameyang doesn't score, Marseille don't score. He's got 13 goals this season. They're next up, number 2. He's got 3.
Yeah.
3 goals.
Who is it, by the way?
I have no idea.
Probably some.
I have no idea. I saw the minus 10. I said, oh, Lord. I just wrote that down.
No, dude. Aubameyang's not getting past that. Dude, go back.
He might get 1, but it's not going to.
Go back and watch the way they defend against Liverpool. 8 guys in the box, and it's organized.
Yes.
Like Liverpool, oh my gosh. There were moments that Joe Gomez looked lost. And I was like, how the hell did Atalanta manage to fit 8 to 9 guys in a box, organized in an organized fashion? There's no shot. Aubameyang is not making it through that. I'm so sorry.
Again, he might get 1, but the only way I see Marseille winning is Tortuga FC. They somehow don't concede over 2 legs and they get a goal.
Yeah.
They win 1-0 on Ag. And I don't think with guys like Adamala Lukman, who's been an absolute menace, you're not going to keep Atalanta from scoring. Like, they're getting a goal. All right? So either Marseille somehow conjure up 2 or they hold it at 1-1 and they win on pens again. That's the only way that I see these guys going through.
No, I hope that doesn't happen. I want to see Atalanta in a final because if they do get there, honestly, I think they'll have a great shout to win. Even if it's Leverkusen, even if it's Roma, Atalanta will have the know-how to keep that 90 minutes tight. That's going to make it so exciting because if Atalanta win a trophy, all that they've tried to do over the last 6 years would finally mean something. So honestly, I'm rooting for Atalanta to at least get to the final. And then from there, honestly, I just want a good game.
Yeah.
Yep. Can y'all guess, if you don't already know, where the final for the Europa League is going to be at?
Lisbon.
No. 1 guess each.
It's in Germany?
No.
Oh, okay.
Azerbaijan.
What?
Wild, dude.
Azerbaijanis paying money for that.
Wild.
Dublin Arena in Ireland.
It's in Ireland?
They're Ireland. They're gonna have Italians and Germans in Ireland.
We got that in rugby and nothing else. Oh my gosh, Johnny's injured bad.
Premier League title race. Premier League title race between what is now Manchester City and Arsenal. There's a third team that, in my opinion, has been removed from that race in Liverpool after they conceded 2 goals to Everton. Their bitter rivals, Everton, who got a victory against this Liverpool side, ultimately ending their run, and Arsenal killing whoever they played recently. I can't even remember. And then Man City defeating Brighton 4-0 today with some beautiful goals as well. How are you guys feeling about the Premier League title race? Who do you think is going to ultimately see this thing out? Man City does have a game in hand, but right now they're down a point. Arsenal's looking like they want to give it their absolute best shot. The question here is, will they, and will it matter against this mighty Manchester City side?
Yeah, that's kind of the depressing part, but also the happy part if you're a City fan, because I think you know what's coming because it's happened for the last 3 straight years. So it's almost like trying to stop the inevitable when it comes to the Premier League and Manchester City. It's a bond that is damn near unbreakable at this point, considering that they have a game in hand. They win that game, they go top of the table with 4 games left. Yeah, this is City's, and they've proven that it is theirs when it gets to this portion of the league of the season. So I think if you're Arsenal, you're really hoping for a Hail Mary here for anything else to happen other than Manchester City winning the league.
Dude, the perfect rundown.
Yeah.
That was perfect. It's hard to follow that up, but I mean, all I can do is just build on Manchester City.
That's all you can do.
Unbreakable bonds. They're just magnetized to it. I mean, watching them for years when they had Agüero and then De Michelis and even Carlos Tevez before that, I fell in love with them because of the Argentines, right? And now, ever since we beat Aston Villa on that final day a couple years back, it has just looked like written in the sand. And the pundits say the same thing. That's why I don't blame anybody for saying the Premier League's getting boring or oh, they're upset about Manchester City winning. I get it. I just happen to be on the favorable side of that because I love them, right? It looks like written in the stars. I've been saying it all year. I'm gonna just wait and see because they're gonna find a way. It's like Real Madrid winning the freaking Champions League. It is just set in stone. It's our tournament now. And that's a bummer to say because you want to see some parity. I don't have vitriol or hatred for Liverpool or Arsenal or Manchester United, maybe a little bit. I like beating them a little bit, a little bit more, even though they've been down bad. But it's inevitable. It's like Thanos. They got the 5 Infinity Stones. They've got Rodri. They've got Phil Foden. Just decided to have. He was like, Bellingham's doing it. All right, rip it. I'm going full force. And not to mention the Haaland effect. I think we got Alvarez in there too. It's too much. It's OD. It's OD. The rotation that we can do. We can concede goals now, and somehow we're better. I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm sure most of y'all's audience has seen Game of Thrones. Y'all are like the White Walkers.
Yeah.
You can try to stop them. You can try to put up a big wall. They're just going to get on some undead dragon and burn that thing down. And, the keep is going to be breached, essentially, is what I'm trying to say.
And they have Arya on their team.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
If you want to stick to the Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
let's go. We can run this thing.
We can run it for 30 minutes. I mean, Pep's got to be the...
Pep's the Ice King.
Yeah.
He's
Pep's the Ice King
for sure.
What's my man's name? It's not Ice King.
Who? Yeah, what's his name?
The Night King.
The Night King. Night King.
Oh, it's like
yes.
Ice King. That's that's like Lich King, World of Warcraft. We're getting those. There's some crossover there, but yeah, man. I think the title this season, either City win it or City lose it. They gotta stumble, and they gotta stumble hard. I'm looking at these fixtures. Forest at home. I mean, for the love of God, if they don't take 3 from that's insane. Wolves away might be a bit tricky, but they can afford.
That one's at home.
That one's at home?
Yeah, Nottingham's away.
Okay. I got it. Okay, so I'm going to read all these, but they're flipped.
Yeah.
So they got Forest away. Forest are, they're just horrendous. Wolves at home. If that was at Molineux, maybe we have a discussion here. I don't think so. Fulham away, bro. I just think City own Fulham.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see anything happening there. Spurs away.
That's the one.
That's
This is
the
the
one.
interesting
Do
factor.
my boys take them down and hand the Premier League title to Arsenal?
Well, we'll find that out this weekend because Arsenal plays Tottenham this weekend.
Wow.
So the biggest, most interesting thing about the Premier League title race discussion now doesn't even have to do with the teams involved. It's Tottenham.
It's Tottenham.
Your
It is
beloved
Tottenham.
Spurs.
And there's no winning. This is a lose-lose situation.
Tottenham have the most control over the Premier League title in years, and they have no shot.
Nothing to do with
Yeah.
it.
Nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
This gets really weird because if you're Arsenal, you have to beat Tottenham. Tottenham need to beat Manchester City. This gets really weird because if Tottenham lose to both of them, it doesn't help. If Tottenham beat both of them, also doesn't help. So there has to be some sort of unbalance there.
Something.
We got to win and lose.
Yeah,
Game.
that's really weird to bank on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they both lose to Tottenham, Liverpool, baby, we're back in it.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a
Bro,
distant shot.
You are a Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
y'all were trash
Yeah.
against Everton, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it is insane how unclinical this team
Oh, yeah.
is. I love Luis Diaz. I love Darwin Nunez.
Love Darwin Nunez.
Like, bro, they sometimes cannot hit the broadside of a barn. Mo Salah should have had 2 goals against Everton. He's completely fallen off. I mean, and Andy Robertson, Robbo, might need to retire. He was getting sliced and diced on the defensive end, and then his service was shite. And he missed that one.
Yeah, he misses so many
one,
shots.
I
man.
can't remember who puts the ball over top, and he
Yeah.
kind of like whiffs at it. You got to get that on target. And you know what? Probably 3 years ago, he probably puts that away. And y'all are still in the title race. We're talking about 3 teams right now.
What do you think happened there? Because I was so bullish. Like when Klopp announced he was going to retire,
man.
that was my one shaky moment this season. I was like, okay, Liverpool are in it, and they went on a phenomenal run. They've been incredible. And then it was just such a stark fall off. Like, what do you think's going on?
Bro,
Yeah.
Atalanta broke him, dude.
I think they exposed something that was coming for us, which is what we've seen in the past month. We've spoken about it. I think this Liverpool team is just completely burnt out, tired, lazy.
So tired.
They just do not have the engine anymore to participate or play at the level that they did just a couple of months ago, which I understand is very stark. Once you really get to thinking about it, it makes sense looking at the players and seeing how they, in a way, overperform. That whole narrative of our young kids playing at a really high level in really big moments. I mean, that was amazing, but the fact that we were relying on those kids to win these matches, I think shows just how depleted this Liverpool side was. And I think it's just showing itself now. I'm actually not that harsh on Liverpool after what happened yesterday. Obviously, I'm sad. I'm disappointed, but I do feel like we were kind of playing with house money after that month we had winning the Carabao Cup and playing really well against Manchester City, for example. It felt like we were, setting ourselves up really well. But to see us ultimately fan out, looking back at our predictions for the Premier League, we did have Manchester City first, Arsenal second, Liverpool third. And ultimately that is where they're going to end up. I think we saw a really crazy rise, but now a downfall back into that third spot.
Yeah.
Sucks.
It does
But
suck.
it is what it is.
Part of me really, really, really wants to argue that the fellas were like, okay, Trent's back. We can take the foot off the gas a little bit. We're going to be okay. And they're going to find a correction to form, and we might see a crazy finish to the season, right? We might see like people rising and falling all over the place. I don't know. I'm still a little nervous about it. I got to see the way that they return to the Prem. I got to see what's going to happen now. Because
You talking next season?
Sorry, no. Sorry, later on in the Prem season, I understand that they lost to Everton, right? But it's their first. Would you say it's their first derby loss in?
It's the first time in 14 years
yeah.
Everton have beaten Liverpool at home.
That's insane. And the only
is
reason that
insane.
happens is either you
Everton.
are exhausted or maybe for some reason Andy Robertson, some of the other guys are like, okay, Trent's back. That's our bread and butter. We're good. We've got the full stacked roster. This is going to be a little easier. And if everybody even takes that and it affects them 5%, that's a massive decrease overall. For intrigue and interest, I'm praying that was it, and they can finish strong to the season. Because if they take 3 points from the rest of them, from the rest of the games they have this season, it's an interesting finish. But I think you have the hardest schedule remaining, right?
It's tough.
It's a tough one.
What you
So-
got,
Who do they
Jack?
got?
I got West Ham away,
That's
Spurs
tough.
home. Villa away, hell no.
Damn.
And
My God.
Wolves at home.
No,
Damn.
there's
There's
no,
no
versus
way.
bad.
There's no way.
Y'all might take 5.
Yeah. Yeah. 5-piece burger.
I mean, Liverpool is so good against Tottenham, and that's at home. So I think that will be a victory for Liverpool. But again, if Liverpool win it, it's because Arsenal and City have collapsed.
Yeah, collapsed.
They've collapsed. That means City probably lost 2 games, lost to
Yeah.
Fulham or something somehow. I don't know. That would be.
But
that would be
that's a
crazy.
hallmark of the Prem. You see that happen all the time. They slip, stumble
Not
once.
with y'all.
Not with City.
Not with
That's
y'all.
the only crazy part.
Yes.
It's just City who are the anomaly, which makes them very scary.
Even
Very scary.
Dude, I don't even blame Liverpool for collapsing because, like, you think about it, you know, going back to the Thanos analogy, like, you're fighting a guy that you can't beat, and you're fighting him over and over again, and for several years, you were the only dude in that ring fighting this guy, and you got 1 Premier League title. Klopp's got how many trophies total with Liverpool? 5?
Total 1, 2, 4 or 5, I would say.
I think
Off
3
the top of my-
cups,
5?
Champions League,
Champions League,
Yeah.
and then the league 5. Yeah.
I mean,
Club World Cup. I don't know.
do you think he's underachieved?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No,
either.
you can't say that.
But that's a real conversation.
For sure, because considering
numbers,
how their peak, considering their
and how
peak,
good they
you'd want
were
more.
and what they represented, the style of football that they played, reaching a Champions League final, losing to Real Madrid. I get it. I get where people come from if you look at it from a surface level point of view. But I feel like if you watch Liverpool play, you watch the games, and you watch this run they went on, then I don't think you'd harp on Klopp's legacy. If anything, you'd praise it for what he was able to achieve.
100%. With those young guys. I mean, that's the whole argument against Manchester City, right? Is that Liverpool, they're fun. They play with heart. They're a team that you want to like, right? Manchester City just feels like a robot.
Yeah.
Which is understandable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
They just probe around the box looking for the perfect opportunity.
yeah.
They really are
boring to
robotic.
watch
Yeah.
sometimes.
Mhm.
Like, I say that as a Manchester City fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they took Jack Grealish and like took the sauce away. You know.
Yeah,
They
a
did.
bit for sure, dude.
He's still got the tech for sure, but like
That's
he
true.
he's a shadow of what he used to be for Villa.
Yeah.
You know, of course, Villa were terrible, but Jack Grealish was a lot more fun to watch 3 years ago
Oh.
than he is right now.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, Foden, he keeps things interesting.
Foden and Doku. They're the only.
Yeah,
and every once in a while, Rodri will
so
just
interesting.
smack a Hail Mary from like
Yeah.
midfield.
Gundogan was fire when he was with them last year. He was one of the best midfielders in the world when he was with City.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's keeping my interest in Barca alive. Love that guy.
Yeah.
Love Gundogan. I don't think you can hate him. Like, he's just a great guy. He's one of the lovable guys out there, you know?
I think so.
That and Bernardo Silva's kind of fun.
Bernardo
Kinda.
Silva's
People
good.
hate Silva.
People hate him?
I hated him for a while.
Silva.
And I'm
Hated
going
him
to tell
for a
you, I
long
had
time.
some howlers
No
on our
way.
channel. I had some howlers on our channel for no reason. I was like, he's soft. He's soft and he's small and he can't do it. And then he just proves me wrong every time. So now I'm like, I had him in my Premier League fantasy team and he did really well for me. And I'm like, all right. Maybe it's because he's
Okay.
Portuguese and the Argentine rivalry. I don't know. Dude.
Copa America. Let's discuss some Copa America here because we're with 2 Copa America gurus right now who are pumping out so much content over this tournament. I once again highly recommend you guys to go check out their channel, DeadballTV, to see their group previews right now. You guys are on Group D, I believe.
We got one left.
What you got?
One left.
Yeah. Really exciting stuff in the build up to the tournament. We're still holding out from our previews, right? We're still holding out. We're finishing off a few of our tournaments, but that is coming very soon. But regardless, we're going to be speaking about some Copa America teams right now here with these boys. In the first topic, I just lost my hair. Fuck.
Hey, take a
Water.
Reel it back in. Reel it back in.
Hey, we were talking about, This is the second leg. This is the second leg. Here we go.
God damn.
Extra
breather.
time. Shit.
Hydration break.
Guys, what Copa America team has the most pressure going into it? The most pressure. Let's start with you, Salts.
I actually have a lot to say here, so possibly bear with me. Butt in if you want to. Feel free. But honestly, I think the United States has the most pressure out of any team in this year's Copa America going into it. Okay. And here's the couple reasons why. There's actually one reason, but I need to lay out a couple things to kind of build up to it.
Set the scene.
Let's set the scene, I guess.
Yeah, because I disagree.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And we'll get there too.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
You'll convince me.
Yeah, okay. So first thing for the United States going for them is they are now established as the kings of CONCACAF. And that might have been up for debate before this last Nations League final against Mexico, but I think there's absolutely no doubt, you cannot argue it. The United States is definitively the best team in CONCACAF, and honestly, by a decent margin. Mexico are good. Panama plays good football. Canada have Alphonso Davies, Jonathan David, right? But the United States, as a collective, as a team, is by far the best team in CONCACAF.
What about Jamaica?
Also Jamaica. You got Damari Gray. You got some good ballers there. Bobby De Cordova Reed. And, you know, they had a good game against the United States, for sure.
Never forget, they took them to extra time.
They took them to extra time.
I
I can't forget that. And also, Hallgrimsson has actually been trying to change, I think, the way that Jamaica play. I think it'll take them a while, but I mean, they have up until the World Cup to do that. And also, they have a good practice this year at the Copa America. So Jamaica, they have work to do, but, you know, the USA. So if we establish that, and we also consider the idea that beyond statistics, if you just watch this USA team play, oh my God. I mean, they're so entertaining. Every single player can get the ball, dribble at their opponent, and just play really entertaining, dynamic, offensive football. Not only that, but pound for pound, man. I mean, we have a Champions League winner in our starting 11. Add on top of all of that, we have a very established starting 11, and honestly, 4 or 5 bench players that come into rotation and put in good performance after good performance, all underneath a coach that they trust. And I know a lot of people probably are anti-Greg Berhalter, and I'm not entertaining it anymore, considering his track record and considering that the players completely back him. So all that taken into account, I think the pressure for the United States lies in the fact that they are going into unmarked territory, because everything that I just laid out has never been true for the United States in their history, ever. You cannot say any of what I just said, and it's never been true before until now in 2024. So you take all of that pressure, all of that into consideration. The USA are trying to flip the narrative that has been with them their entire existence. And that narrative is underdog from CONCACAF. Every time they play against Uruguay, Brazil, Argentina, a European team, it's always, all right, the USA, we gotta dig deep here. We gotta utilize Christian Pulisic or Landon Donovan, and we gotta go at them. We gotta play CONCACAF football. And when we do pull it off, it's always because our opponent underestimated us. But I think this generation of USA players is trying to completely change that. And I think they can. All things considered, this is the best talents that the USA has ever had. We're playing the best football that we have ever had. Every single player is playing in Europe. I think that's a lot of pressure. But all things considered, man, I'm so excited. I'm very nervous for this USA team because it is pressure. If we do not have a good Copa America, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. The narrative stays the same. You'll hear all the pundits on ESPN and CBS say the same thing that they've been saying for 10 years. We're good, but we still can't touch the best of CONMEBOL. We still can't touch the best of UEFA. But I think with all of this considered, I think the USA can finally change that narrative. But that's why there's a lot of pressure on this team. They're trying to change all the demons of their past.
We got some dogs, and the vast majority of what you said, I completely agree with, except for the Berhalter thing. And I just wanted to get that in.
And we can have a conversation about Berhalter. We can do that.
He's
too.
an overhated manager.
He's an overhated manager.
He's overhated.
And that's coming from hater number 1 over here. I just wanted to get my positive in before the inevitable.
Well, go ahead, get it out.
No, that was it.
I'm going in. No. Okay, the number one reason that I disagree with that is because I truly feel like when we're looking at things long term, the Copa America is a dress rehearsal for the United States.
True.
In the end, it is 2026. I also think when we're talking about pressure, I think you as a US fan feel pressure. When I was trying to answer this question, I was also looking at the global fan base. I don't know if other people, if Europeans, if people in Tokyo look at this U.S. team and are like, well, I mean, they better make the final of the Copa America. I don't think there's external pressure. Whereas I think when we start talking about teams like Argentina, which I might mention later, teams like Brazil, maybe even Mexico, Uruguay, who I'm going to talk about, I think there is a global pressure because of the pedigree that they've had in this Copa. Some of these teams are down bad too. They're in the mud right now. There's a lot of pressure from within and from outside to do well. And so those are the main reasons I don't think the United States is like in the furnace right now. I think they need a good showing, but I'm going to be real. I feel like if they make the quarterfinals and they lose to Brazil or they lose to Colombia, everyone's going to look and they're going to say, sounds about right, and we're all going to move on. And everyone's going to be talking about 2026. That's why if I had like a hierarchy, and I do have a hierarchy of teams under pressure, I wouldn't put the U.S. in the top 5.
I definitely see what you're saying, but okay, we can actually just kind of go down it. So if we start with Argentina, I don't think they have any pressure whatsoever because they just won the Copa America and they also just won the World Cup. They have nothing else to prove. They already are the best team in the world. If they miss out on one Copa, they're fine. I actually say there's almost zero pressure for Argentina.
I would completely disagree. I would actually say there's a case that Argentina are under the most pressure, and I say that because you said they have nothing to prove. Well, what they're chasing now is we're the best team ever. It's no longer we're the best team in the world. It's not we're the best team in CONMEBOL. They've been that. If they go back to back at the Copas with sandwiching a World Cup, oh, we talking top 3 all time, baby. We talking top 2. Like they have inserted themselves into that conversation. We talked about this on DeadballTV. They become undeniable. It's like, we're talking about basketball. It's like Jokic with the Nuggets. You know, at a certain point, the man is so good, you can't help but put him in the top 5 all time. You can talk about how he doesn't look like an athlete. You can talk about this or that, how Michael Jordan had his tongue out when he was dunking on people. But at the end of the day, if Jokic has 5 titles, if Argentina get 2 Copas, or I mean, dare I say 2 World Cups in a row, you're immortalized. You've become Achilles.
My argument to that case, though, is that this is international football, a landscape that, you know, you go 2-4 years in between major tournaments. So when you build or create a legacy, it's honestly bonus. It's surplus because you don't know if a player you have that pops off in 2022 is going to be the same in 2026. So if you win back-to-back tournaments, it's not because you truly earned it. It's just because you, in the moment, you were the best team in that tournament. I see international football more as a momentary type of landscape rather than a legacy landscape. Club football's legacy. Madrid is winning back-to-back Champions League. That's something that you can build because the players stay the same 12 months to 12 months to 12 months. Whereas international football, so much can change over the course of even just 2 years. So that's why I say there's no pressure on Argentina because they've already won the Copa. They've already won the World Cup. Yes, I do agree. They would become undeniable by winning this Copa. But since they've just won it, I don't think they really fully mind if they lose it. Because, again, it's Messi's what? He's no longer the player that he was. I mean, he's still amazing, do not get me wrong, but there's also just a lot of other rotation that might happen. I mean, the coach even said after the World Cup that he might leave. Like what's that about too? Hey, so I just think
He said he was considering. He said he was considering, never wanted to leave. So many people were clowning me in the DeadballTV comments about that. They were like, where's your coach going? He's not going anywhere. Thank God.
But that's kind of my point, though, is that international football is not about like year to year to year to year. It's just one big moment to the next.
But you don't think in this case it kind of is? Because we're talking trophies in 21, 22, 24. I mean, that's 3 trophies in 4 years. You're talking about Real Madrid winning every year. Okay, Argentina won't have 4 trophies in 4 years, but they'll have 3. I mean, shit, they'll have 4.
We'll have 4, the finalista, which we do.
It is Mickey Mouse.
It is not Mickey Mouse. It's Italy.
So,
you Euro snobs want to come and meet? No. Hold on. We're going to settle this at home.
I'm not a Euro snob. I'm not a Euro snob, so that's why that argument doesn't work against me. I'll talk down on the
You've been indoctrinated.
Absolutely, bro. I'm radicalized to the Asian continent.
Hear me out. Hold on. Let me take a stab at this.
Okay.
So I think that Argentina, at least from what I can see, and I'm trying to put my own bias aside here, when and just to give you some context, I haven't lost in so long that I've forgotten what it is like. And that was my personality. Argentina was Rio Platense, the Silver River. We were silver every freaking year. 2014, then we went out in 2018 against the champions, which I'm gonna call that a second place. And then Copa America after Copa America, Chile ruining my life over and over. And then finally we hit gold, right? And it does feel like the payoff's there. It feels like finally, oh my God, everybody was starting to give up hope, but then the whole country got up for it and we did it. We did the Copa America. Almost feels more important than the World Cup, the way that we cried that. Like, just watch the reaction there and the reaction of the World Cup. Like, you didn't think winning was possible, right? So we have that. We have the other one, and the Finalissima, beating a objectively good Italian team. I think that the Argentines are dying for another. I think that some more casual fans are like, I finally got to see Messi win the World Cup. I saw the greatest player of all time become the greatest player of all time. I'm okay if they lose this Copa America. They're just going to be watching it to see Messi, right? It's like everybody sees it as his farewell tour. So I found it really hard to say Argentina either way because I see both sides, and I couldn't come to a resolute, definitive decision here. I'm going to say no. I think some more teams have a little bit more at stake in the international scene. I like what you were saying moment to moment. I'm going to have to digest that some more. But as an international football first kind of guy, it's tough because that is my legacy.
I also think if you're a hater, right? And there's a lot of y'all out there. There might be an asterisk.
One right here.
Not against, I'm not an Argentina hater. There's other teams that I
remains to be seen.
But I think there's an asterisk potentially next to both the Copa America and the World Cup. Why? Because Copa America was played behind closed doors.
It was.
Yeah, you won in the Maracanã with 200 fans in there. Let's not act like that's the same thing. And again, I'm just playing devil's advocate. That's the argument against the greatness of this Argentine squad. You beat Italy in the Finalissima, but they didn't even qualify for the World Cup. They actually trash. Yeah, you won the Copa in 2021, but there was 200 people in the stadium. It's not real. Kind of like when Liverpool won the Prem. And then you won in Qatar, but, you guys got a penalty. You guys,
what was
I'm going to keep it going. But you guys got a penalty in every single game. And, there's a lot of excuses. If they win again, what is the excuse? What is the excuse? You won 4 trophies in 5 years. What are they going to say? It's undeniable greatness.
It's a dynasty.
Are they your number one? Are you staking that right now?
Modern?
Nah, then I'm number 2. I think number two. Yeah, then number 2.
You're talking all time?
Oh, like
wait, what? No. Sorry. Number one most pressure.
Number
one most pressure. Yeah.
Oh no, they're my number 2.
You're number 2. I think all time is a whole different discussion. Then we go player to player, and it's tough.
Ask me after the Copa America. If they win again, how do you not put them top 5?
Yeah.
You can't.
They're top 5 for sure. Yeah, they're top 5 for sure.
There's going to be some people in the comments who disagree.
People are going to
100%.
I see those things on TikTok all the time.
If they win again.
Yeah.
Oh, if they win again.
Yeah.
I think
if they win again, they're top 5 for sure.
We're talking top 3.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll be with you.
Yeah. I just to finish, I agree. Establishing a dynasty is huge. I mean, when I think dynasty, every single time I go to the Golden State Warriors and I go to the Spanish national team between 2008 and 2012.
Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, why not?
No, we don't do college. Draw the line.
I went to Ohio State. So I just want to say we beat them in the national championship.
We're not talking AFC. We're talking SEC.
Hey, Big Ten, baby.
Yeah, reach our limit then. All right.
Yeah. All right, and so Argentina would put themselves in that exact same category. Thing is, I mean, World Cup has the most weight of anything. Yeah. The fact that they already literally just won it, I think relieves a lot of the pressure. All the pressure on Argentina was to see Messi lift that trophy. It's done. I don't think you can say as much that Argentina has a ton of pressure on them in this tournament. But the dynasty thing, I completely agree with, 100%. Yeah.
I think ultimately I would disagree with both you guys regarding the U.S. and Argentina, because when I hear the question, which Copa America team has the most pressure going into it, I think about which team suffers more by not succeeding. We're talking about suffering. That's pressure. Playing games knowing that if you don't get a result, something bad's going to happen.
There's going to be hell to pay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I feel like the clear answer here is Brazil. I think it's Brazil. I think they, for that reason, have the most pressure going into this tournament. And you can see this from so many different angles. Just looking at the past big tournaments they participated in, we're talking about Argentina forming a dynasty. Well, it's come at the hands of Brazilian failure, which is crazy to think about, especially knowing how they see football in that region. It's so personal. I know you know about this specifically. It's so personal. To see Argentina lift so many titles back to back to back times, it's just ridiculous to comprehend that as a Brazilian, I would imagine. But then also going out against Croatia, the penalty shootout in which they came back last minute goal. They lost the lead. Neymar had scored such a beautiful goal. That was their moment to go into the semifinal against Argentina, and it didn't play out. And now you have the Copa America here in the States. I think now is the time where you have to get a result here. You have to get a trophy, because the punishment will not just be disappointment from your country, but it will most likely be seeing Argentina form a dynasty. Yeah. And that to me is the most amount of pressure in this tournament.
Yeah. I'm inclined to agree with you.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
For sure.
Damn, I don't have them top 5.
Oh.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I feel like what protects Brazil a little bit is they won in 2019.
Right.
They lost in the final in 2021. Let's not act like they fell off like Peru. Okay.
No.
And this is objectively a weaker Brazilian team. It's not 2002. It's not on that level. Neymar's kind of up in the air. There's kind of this new guard. The fullbacks are the worst I've ever seen. I think there's always pressure with Brazil, just like Mexico. There is always pressure. Mexico, we're dog water right now, but there is pressure because it's Mexico. Okay, so the fan base, they don't. There's no rebuild for Mexico. They don't get that luxury. Brazil doesn't get that either. I think if they made a semifinals, I think it's fine. To me, I'd be like, okay, that's about right. Or if they made the final and lost to Argentina on penalties, is anybody looking at Brazil and saying, wow, y'all bottled that? They're supposed to lose.
The Brazilians.
I think understanding the context of them right now, that makes sense.
Yes.
But I don't think Brazilians see it that way with the national team at all.
Yeah.
No,
but how do non-Brazilians see it? I'm not Brazilian. I'm looking at it from my perspective, and I'm just like, I don't expect you to win. Right now, on paper, I said it on our channel. If we're going starting 11, they're arguably third.
But I'm telling you right now, I think that this would cement something, them losing, much more negative than they have ever experienced. I mean, they are living on a prayer right now off of Endrick's phenomenal performance when they went over and played against the Europeans, right? Massive win at Wembley and an excellent showing in Spain. Fantastic, okay?
Yeah, but they're friendlies.
It's still playing in Wembley. Like, that is huge. I would die for the opportunity to see Argentina play at Wembley. I would love that. Love that.
Yeah, but you know those aren't legacy changers.
But it's still carrying on a legacy that, like, our fathers passed down. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way that I see it is that this Brazilian side are headed down. They're dropping down, and it's not like Peru bad. It is not Peru bad, but the expectations were much higher for them to begin with, right? So the second that Brazil goes and gives them a little bit of life and hope, and then they come back and they crush it, right? I feel like the expectation is to carry on and use this momentum, beating the Europeans over there, to turn around and use a new guy like Endrick, right? When Neymar is out. Neymar's out. Okay, who's going to be next up? We don't have a Ronaldinho anymore. We don't have a Ronaldo. Where's Pelé, right? Messi's on his way out. Okay, well, maybe the Brazilians got something. Let's do something here, right? Let's show off. If they don't, I think they're in the fire. I think I would be comfortable to say that Brazil are the biggest losers. Yeah, I think I would be comfortable saying that they are the biggest.
Quick math.
I was buffering, right? The RAM is a little, it's struggling here.
But you mentioned it when you debated him on the US, saying that there's teams that their knownness goes beyond just their own country.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The Asians will be watching this tournament, and they'll be going into it thinking that Brazil is one of the top teams in the tournament, which they can be, by the way.
Yeah,
but I think ultimately the worldview of Brazil is the same as the country's view, which is we're Brazil. We're born and bred for this sport. We should be winning trophies. And people are starting to ask questions now with the disappointments after tournament. And it's time. It's like time now. There's an urgency, I believe, because with what you said, if they don't do it now, then I think it does cement like a seed of we might be falling off right now. And I know that it probably is already true, but to people there, I think it's a big deal. And also to like the world view of Brazil, people might be looking at France as like the next power now.
I like that. It does damage to the world view of Brazil. Yes, the football heritage that you're talking about. 100%.
I think it's already been damaged. I think it has. I think, again, when you look at Brazil's record, especially against European teams in knockout football at the World Cup, I think that's what's doing the damage. You said which team has the most to suffer. I kind of looked at which team, if they have a good performance, changes the perspective around the team the most. Brazil, I think, consensus worldwide outside of Rio de Janeiro, are regarded as the second best team in CONMEBOL. So if they win, I don't know if the doubters see a Copa America victory and say, Brazil are back. Because they're going to say, what are y'all doing at the World Cup? But y'all lost to a good but not great Croatia side in a game that you shouldn't have fumbled. I think the World Cup is where Brazil has to change their narrative for their team. I don't know if they... I can't say. I'm projecting a lot. I can't say Brazil are back if they win a Copa America final.
And I think it's because you're too close. Brazil are the second best team.
I'm
but
knees deep.
Brazil are the second best team. But worldwide, they're still viewed as the number one, right?
Well, they don't know ball.
But
that's the pressure. That's where pressure comes from.
Pressure, yeah,
it's from just casuals ultimately,
yeah.
And like
I mean,
on the
we
street.
talk about Mexico all the time, right? The fan base is ride or die. We know that those Dortmund ultras will be out like they are the winners already, right? The pressure is on. The pressure is there for these guys. We're going to see that poor old man, I think he passed away, but the one who's famous, his picture of him crying in 2014 when they went out against Germany.
Oh, wow.
I think he passed away already, but that's the vibe, and that pressure is on. So while I agree with you, I think you're 100% correct. They are the second best right now. I think it's already in CONMEBOL undeniable, but it would cement it, and that seed would be planted for the layman, right?
Yeah, I agree with the initial premise that Brazil have been very much failures recently. But the reason why I say that they don't really have that much pressure in comparison to other teams is kind of because of what you're saying. If we say just the 11, even though it's not that good as it has been, if we say Brazil's the second or third best team in this tournament, that means a semifinal appearance.
Yeah.
And if they do that, then they're good. Brazil's good, and they probably will do that just by nature of them being that good. If you have Vinicius, Rodrigo, and Endrick going off, they'll probably get to the semifinals. I don't really see that as pressure. I just see that as kind of automatic, right? And if they get to the final, okay, you lose a final. I think people are going to be okay because of the reputation that they've set in the World Cup already. They lose those games. I don't think Brazil can really gain much from the Copa America unless they outright win it. But other than that, I think unless they get grouped, then that's a whole different conversation. Yeah. But I think for Brazil, for the pressure's going to be at the World Cup. It's always at the World Cup because that's where Brazil got their legacy. It wasn't really Copa Americas. It was World Cups. That's why they're the most well-known team in the world. It's because of the 5 titles that they've won.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think if they're going to alter reputation at the Copa America, bro, it's got to be like a 3-0 win against Argentina in the final. I'm sorry, you win on pens. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
Don't say that out loud.
Nobody gives a shit. If you squeak, I mean, God forbid Argentina get knocked out and you beat Chile in the final. Right. Because they're on the tough side of the bracket. No one is going to care. They won't. Period. I'm sorry. Like, I'm going to throw something out there because I've been attacking y'all's takes. So a team that I think, and I would love to hear what you guys think. These aren't my number one, but for instance, Ecuador, in my opinion, is a team that has been historically abysmal at the Copa America. I think they have 2 semifinals appearances all time. These boys have been trash. Like, it's been really, really bad. And now, for the first time, maybe ever, I would say, well, not ever. I'm going to say that right now, head to toe, this is probably the strongest Ecuador side of all time. Yeah. And they have a manager. We like to talk about Spanish managers and the intelligence. A man who won the Asian Cup with Qatar. He's coming in. He's trying to make a new system, very different from what Gustavo Alfaro was doing before him. I think the group is very doable for Ecuador as well. I think if we look at some of the non-giants in CONMEBOL, I think if you look at an Ecuador, you say it's time. It's time to deliver. And I think if Ecuador don't make a semifinals, I think it's a catastrophic failure. And I think you just look at them and you're like, you guys might always be frauds. Like, I think that will be the perspective of Ecuador. Versus if they make a final, then it's like, damn, we start talking golden generation. We start talking, well, what are they going to do with the World Cup? Like, oh my God, Ecuador, they actually, maybe their defense is actually legit. That's kind of how I went about answering the,
Sounds like the USA
question.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
Think so?
Your exact take on Ecuador is why I have USA as the most pressure. We gain the most if we go to the semifinals, and we gain a lot. If we go to the final, that's ringing across the world. England will be like, oh shit, USA. Okay, so their performance against us in the World Cup was real. Now all of a sudden, a team like the USA, a team like Ecuador, suddenly doesn't just become a throwaway at the World Cup. All of a sudden, people are like, oh shit, okay, Ecuador had a really good Copa America, or the USA had a really good Copa America. Now we're on the map of other countries because of this tournament. So I agree with your Ecuador. I completely agree.
I think the difference that I have in my head between the U.S. and the Ecuador situations, that the U.S., like you said, are the objective kings of CONCACAF.
True, yeah.
I mean, the trophy, we're running out of space on the trophy cabinet. Meanwhile, Ecuador, they don't have a damn thing.
Yeah.
Like, they literally, I don't know. They might have
Bolivia has a better record.
Bolivia has,
which is insane.
Yes. They've won it. They've won it twice, haven't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have two wins. I didn't even think about
Yeah,
that.
both at home. They're home merchants, much like the U.S. But
Indeed.
I think Ecuador would be like a team that's like historically mudded. And if they made a semifinal, I mean, yo, if they beat Argentina in a knockout game, the greatest victory in Ecuadorian history, man.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing. I think U.S. is going from, where's the camera? I think U.S. is
see what
going
you're
from like
saying.
here to here. Ecuador is going from like here to here.
I
They
see what you're
stand much
saying.
more to
They
gain.
have
There's much more to gain.
Yeah.
I actually completely agree with that. Yeah.
But is that
Yeah.
pressure? I think that's just about who has the most to gain from a tournament then. Pressure is different to me.
No, it is pressure though, because it's up to this generation to pull it off. And if they can't, you're fucked. You're doomed.
Yeah.
You just become what you've always been.
Yeah.
But if you have the opportunity to change that, you first of all know that. Can you execute it? That's a lot of pressure.
Well, then this leads me to the number one question right now. Your number one isn't USA. It isn't Argentina. It isn't Ecuador. And it's not Brazil.
Wait, was it in Ecuador?
No, they're my three.
Oh, my bad.
You're giving this man exactly what you want. He's like, I'm gonna hold that until the last possible moment.
It better not be Mexico, and it better not be Colombia.
Nope.
Okay.
Although I do think Colombia will make the final. Can I drop that hot take right here?
If you want to, it's
Okay,
up
I
to
think
you.
I've
Colombia have a really cool
I think they're gonna make
chance.
the final. I don't think they'll win, but I think
They're gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yo,
Let me
they're
set
on
this up for
fire.
the TikTok. Who is your number one team with the most pressure at the Copa America?
For me personally, I went very personal with this take. I said Uruguay. I said Uruguay, to keep it concise. They've been very poor at the Copa America since they last won in 2011. They have a manager now in Marcelo Bielsa who's regarded as a legend. We talked about this in our episode, though. He's not really a winner. He has a very hot, he's got an aura. That's like the big word that's going around football Twitter right now. He's got an aura. We need to see this team, which I think, with all due respect, is really living off the past right now. We're really, when we talk about Uruguay, we're really talking about the 30s, 40s, 50s, 70s. I'm not taking anything away from those Copa America titles, but y'all haven't been the giant that you're painted as in a long time. And right now, in this moment, I said Brazil was the third best starting 11. I would say Uruguay have the second best 11 at this tournament. So for me, I need to see, and I want to see, as a Uruguay fanboy, I want to see the revival of this once great national team because they have the players and the play system under Marcelo Bielsa to do so.
Yeah, Uruguay have a ton of pressure on them this year for sure. Especially because you look at the players that they have now, you cannot obviously rely on the players of old, right? Like the Cavani, the Suarez, right? They're gone.
Yeah.
And now it's up to this new generation of players to fulfill exactly what you're saying. Go back to winning trophies, go back to being world beaters, being able to beat and compete against Argentina, Brazil. That's a lot of pressure. Yeah, that's a good pick, honestly.
They've kind of been flops since
2011.
I mean, 2010, amazing World Cup. 2011, obviously, I think they beat Paraguay 3-0 in the final.
Yep.
Stacked team.
That was a good team.
That was a damn good team.
Yeah.
But this team right now, man, that midfield is cold, dude. They got guys like Bentancur and Hernandez on the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, Arrascaeta out wide. Darwin Nunez, say what you will about Liverpool, but for Uruguay, the man is possessed.
Bielsa gets him up for Uruguay.
I don't know if it's Spanish. I don't know what it is. But
the mate is different down there.
Marias down there
They
in
do,
Montevideo,
yeah.
but they're just getting this man ready for these games.
Yeah.
Valverde, De La Cruz, I think one of the most underrated players in CONMEBOL. The center backs, Oliveira. The team is stacked.
Yeah.
I mean, probably, I don't know, Rochette's probably like the weakest point of their team. I mean, he's a
No,
good,
but they have
He's
no more
decent.
excuses.
He's
a good
decent,
goalkeeper.
yeah.
We talked about this a lot.
They have
I'm
no
sorry,
more
I'm
excuses.
referencing the Deadball TV.
No,
group.
please,
It's
please.
2 hours.
Plug
So grab
yourself.
some palomitas before you watch that. But that's popcorn. They're out of excuses. It's been 13 years since you guys did anything, and you're regarded as one of the best national teams in the world. Time to show up.
Yeah, I like these points. I do. I think with Uruguay specifically, it gets interesting because they're perceived as a country that is so well known for overachieving, not at tournaments, but just with the talent pool that they generate. A country the size of what, fucking Salt Lake City in Utah, I think, or some bullshit.
Right, yeah.
A country so fucking
million.
small
Yeah.
is able to produce such incredible talent. I don't know if people will actually give them true pressure because the story of Uruguay is a remarkable one, just in how they've been able to compete at such a high level in so many tournaments with the small population that they have. There is a lot to be gained.
Yeah.
I just don't know if there's a lot to lose in their situation. Like, how much pressure can a country of that? How much pressure can a country of that size truly put on a team when you have a team like Brazil, which is 10 times its size?
Let me ask you this. What is the aftermath of the U.S. men's national team beating Uruguay 2-0 in the group stage? That's pretty damning, I think. I think that's another. We're talking like, I don't know. Give me a metaphor here for like I was going smog, like another
Oh my God.
little thing in the armor. But anyway, it's a
Great question.
It's
I'm still
a really
stuck
fun
on
question.
I'm stuck on the aftermath there. I'll come up with a funny
Did you
one.
ask-
Probably 45 minutes.
y'all
from
think
now.
about the answer. Let me ponder.
Dude, I think what scares me about that is that people outside of Copa will look at it and be like, it's a joke. That's what I'm scared of, because they're going to look at the stacked roster and they're going to say something along those lines like, oh, it's Mickey Mouse, because, you know, they'll always spin the argument, right? USA stands to gain a lot, but the second that they win that victory there, people are going to be like, Copa's down bad.
Yeah, and kind of, it's a very similar idea here. What's interesting about Uruguay is even though they haven't been as good as we want them to be or as they should be, they still go to every single World Cup.
Yeah.
They still got out of the group stage every single time. So I don't know if their
Except this
image,
last one.
except I don't know if their image gets, image gets tarnished as badly though, unless they have a really bad Copa, like a really bad one.
I think it's detrimental if USA beats Uruguay. It's detrimental. I think it's worse if USA beats Brazil. So that's why I still
Worse
go
if
Brazil.
the U.S. beats Brazil.
Yeah, that's more
That's
detrimental.
worse.
If
That's
the
worse.
US beats Brazil,
That's worse for Brazil.
Worse
I would
for CONMEBOL,
argue-
worse for Copa America, worse for
completely
Brazil.
agree. In both
It's-
cases, it is the greatest win in United States national team history, but it's even one more, especially for our fans at home, if we beat Brazil, right? The layman over here, anybody that's hopping into one of the new MLS franchises, they're saying, oh my God, we beat Brazil. We did it. We beat the Brazil, right? I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm really on the fence here because we've talked about it a lot, right? Uruguay, in my opinion, would fall so hard. I would be so disappointed in them if they lost. But I think on a worldwide, international scale, Brazil have the most pressure, but Uruguay stand the most to lose because my opinion of Bielsa, who I hold in very high regard, in spite of him, like, go look at his record. The way that they hyped him up at Leeds, you'd think he won, 15, 16 different medals. The only thing he's ever won is the Olympics.
It's Bielsa tax.
It's the Bielsa tax.
Actually,
That's it.
I don't even know if he was the main guy on that Olympics team. Somebody left a comment in our last video. It might be
Really?
somebody else. I think
Dude,
I don't
even
know.
more damning. Even more damning. But like he'll get runner-ups for like manager of the year trophies. I was reading that stuff. I
Cesora.
was like,
It's
oh
Cesora.
my
People love Bielsa Cesora.
Yeah,
They love it.
and they love the crazy sort of tactician, and I do too. But I just
He's got a lot on the line himself.
Oh, yeah.
At this Copa, bro. I'm telling you now, if you lose to the United States and you go out in the quarterfinals, bro, I don't want to hear Bielsa hype ever again. Genuinely, I never.
Oh,
want
I'm
to hear
down
it
for that.
again.
Yeah,
I'm down for that. Yeah.
And do you know who Mexico's last win was at the Copa America?
Venezuela?
Nah, bro. We tied them 1-1.
Oh, it was Uruguay.
We beat them 3-1
Yeah, 3-1.
in the Centenario and got them grouped.
Yeah.
If they, bro, I'm saying, if they lose to another CONCACAF team, God help them if Panama pulls off a result. They're done.
That'd be dope.
They are done.
The plane's disappearing in transit back to Montevideo.
Oh, dude, I'm getting a Coco Carrasquilla jersey immediately. How do you come back from that? If you're Uruguay, how do you come back from that? You have 2 or 4 stars on your crest, depending on who you ask, and you're getting grouped at consecutive Copa America. You're losing to
grouped is
you're losing to
crazy.
CONCACAF.
Grouped is crazy.
Grouped is crazy.
Grouped is crazy, but
if it's grouped.
See, I told you he's a hater. He loves.
But if it's
No, I'm not a hater.
No.
Believe it or not, I like Uruguay.
What's crazy though is that if that does happen, I actually wouldn't put anything against Uruguay because that would mean the USA and Panama were actually real. And if you really look at it objectively, that's the only way that can happen. And then that's not on Uruguay. That's because Panama and USA balled out. So, like, if you look at it just from a scoreline perspective, you could, like, shit on Uruguay, but that would just mean they're not as good as we think they are.
I can only agree or disagree once the game has happened.
Yeah.
Depends.
Absolutely.
We got to watch the quality, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're just speculating. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, this is getting speculative.
I think we have 2 teams
it's all
left to mention that I think are worth being in this discussion because there's some other teams, but I think they have less pressure overall. 2 big teams, Mexico and Colombia. Where do we stand on the pressure that they have going into this tournament? And to make it fun, between those 2 teams, who has the most pressure?
Mexico by far.
Yeah.
It's Mexico, bro. The fans are deluded.
I just think it's cultural pressure.
Yeah.
That's all it is, though. If you look at what's happening on the pitch, there's zero pressure because if you accept who Mexico are, they're an above-average team, nothing more. So they have to expect an above-average performance, nothing more at the Copa. If they get more, then oh my God, like they've refound themselves, and if anything, there's no pressure. You're in ecstasy. You're celebrating something that you didn't think could happen. And if they fall out, if they have a really bad Copa, well then you're like, okay, this makes sense. Mexico or shit. I don't think there's any pressure for Mexico on the pitch, but yeah, culturally, obviously there's a ton of pressure.
Yeah, I agree.
Culturally,
If you watch the football on the pitch, you know what's coming. If you don't, then you're gonna be harsh on the team. But it is what we've been seeing for the past 3 years.
Yeah, it's trending.
For Colombia, it's interesting because
Colombia's
they're
interesting.
on an incredible unbeaten streak right now, I believe, and they've been playing really good ball overall. They got ballers on their team. What are the expectations for Colombia, and what happens if they don't meet them?
I'm going to say I'm not as in tune with the Colombian zeitgeist, but what I will say is they've got some dogs, and my expectation for them is very much that they're sitting in the underdog seat. I think that people don't really expect them to play as well as they're going to. And for that reason, I think they're going to be just a spark plug at the Copa America. I think it's going to be one of the reasons to watch. Anybody like talks to me about that, the kids that I teach that love to watch, like the big guys play, I'm like, ojo con Colombia. Just take a look at them. Take a look at them. Tune into one of the games. I promise you, even 45 minutes, you are not going to regret it. So I think the pressure's on for them when the tournament begins. But right now, they're going to go in and they're going to punch somebody in the mouth. God help their first 2 games. Once they get on that hot streak, I think then the pressure's on. It's on internationally. I think that's when the Europeans are starting to take notice, right? They're going to look around. They're going to be like, whoa, okay, there's more than just 2 teams in this, right? And it's not Brazil, Argentina. But now we're looking at Colombia too, and the style that they play, and they don't go quietly. They don't go quiet. I mean, just go and look at that Copa America between Argentina and Colombia. That was a dog fight. That was a dog fight. And I think that we're going to see something even more feisty from them. There's a better word than that, but I think they're going to show up and the pressure's going to be on once they get that streak going. Once they keep that going and then people start looking at those records, that's when it takes notice. So right now, they're still carrying that underdog chip, which is good for them because they're like, we're not. And it's bad for the other teams because they're probably going to underestimate them in some way, shape, or form. But I think the pressure will be on when they get there. So right now, I would say no. When they get there, yes. And what does it mean if they lose? I feel like it's going to be like, oh, Cinderella run is done, right? I do think that they're mentally strong enough, given the streak that they're on now, the streak that they were on before that happened. I think they're mentally strong enough to do that again in the next tournament, right? Going in to qualifying is going to be just, you're going to be dreading those away days in Colombia. But
yeah, Barranquilla is a fortress.
I'm not too worried for them right now in regards to pressure. I think they're going to do their country proud. So maybe there is pressure. Maybe I just don't see it right now because my expectations are clouding my vision.
I think it's an average, appropriate amount of pressure for Colombia. I remember when I said on one of our videos that I think Colombia are my top 2 favorites. pretty much all the comments we got were about how they're historic bottlers. And I'm not totally familiar with the entire history of Colombian performance at the Copa America, but it seems like at least what the South American dialogue is that like, okay, these guys always look pretty until the tournament starts and then they fall off. So I feel like the expectation is they will lose in the quarterfinals. Or maybe Paraguay upsets them in the group stage. I don't think there's a lot of Argentines and Peruvians and Ecuadorians sitting over the asado talking about like, Colombia, man, if they don't make the final... Frauds.
Yeah. I like the Cinderella aspect just because of the run they're on right now. I think people like the energy behind the Colombian team, and it's honestly one of the more exciting teams to look forward to in the Copa America, in my opinion. But because of that, I think the perspective isn't rooted in pressure. It's just rooted in like, let's see what happens for Colombia.
Yeah.
Yes. Because for me, in this tournament for Colombia, I just want to see them return to form, right?
Yeah,
I haven't seen a fun Colombia team outside of now since 2017, 2018.
Right.
So the fact that they're, playing really good offensive football again, it's exciting, because as you said, the attributes that they have just lends to a really entertaining match of football. If they can bring that energy to the Copa, it's only good. I wouldn't know if I'd call it pressure, but especially since they have the underdog tag. So Colombia's a really interesting team. They'll be really fun to root for. But yeah, I agree. I think an appropriate amount of pressure is being applied to them right now.
Can I throw something out and you guys let me know how you feel about it?
Yeah, let's do it.
I feel like if we look at the Colombian team, another reason why I don't think they have the pressure of an Uruguay or maybe even an Ecuador, I think is like a similar team, is if you look at the Colombian squad, by far the highest profile player, Luis Diaz, by a mile.
Yeah,
Who is second?
Lerma, maybe? Just
Jefferson
from
Lerma, Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
My point.
Yeah.
My point. The U.S. men's national team have
damn
greater
good point.
international reach and recognition
Yeah.
than Colombia. Like where is Davinson Sanchez playing now? I don't even know. Where is Jefferson Yeremy Mina? I don't even know what happened after. Anyways, this is my point. They don't have guys at PSG, Real Madrid, Liverpool, where the European casuals will go, hey, that guy's from Uruguay, right? Oh, what? I wonder what they're gonna do at the Copa America this summer. Colombia doesn't have that. Since Yames left Real Madrid, they don't have like stars like that, which is crazy because they're really good.
Yeah.
But they don't have international base, is what I will say.
Yeah, they phased out Falcao. That was a big one.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
big phasing them out. You're right. That generation, that golden generation, 2014 had a lot of those, but now you're right, man. You actually blew me with that one.
At least you're not Chile, though.
At least you're not Chile.
At
like
least
Chile.
you're not Chile.
Hey, we love Gareca.
We love Gareca.
Well, then we're with you there.
It's very clear.
We're with you on that.
Ricardo Gareca. Okay.
Gareca's Peru is one of my favorite teams all time.
Dog, thank you
All
so
time.
much. Feel so validated. I mean, we
Legendary,
were
bro.
preaching. We got clowned so hard when Australia went to the World Cup, and we were like, you weren't there for the 5 years before.
Before. It was all about before. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
man.
same with us.
It was
man.
the same with us.
Dude,
That
trust
penalty
me, bro. Being in the streets of Lima, every time I asked the taxista what he felt about Gareca going to Chile, like you could just see like a tear,
Hey, but
like going
you got
down.
replaced by a Reynoso.
I would rather you be there. I'm not gonna lie to you. Let's go. We gotta book that
Yeah,
flight.
we'll see what Fossati does, but again, the pulse check in the streets of Cusco were not that encouraging.
Man.
They got outshot at home against.
I think there's a
the
statue of
Dominican Republic.
Gareca somewhere, right? There's got to be. You can just go to
There's
that.
I know there's a
isn't, that's-
mural. If
that's
there isn't, it's a
disrespectful.
travesty. But there is a mural.
disrespectful.
My stepmom was there a couple months ago, and she sent me this beautiful just layout. It's gorgeous. His face with the long.
Oh,
flowing
yeah.
hair.
Oh, yeah.
They got the
El
halo
Tigre.
around his El Tigre.
Oh, my God.
Okay, fun mini question: Who has a better Copa America, Venezuela or Chile?
I would say Venezuela. I'm inclined to say Venezuela. They're also like the opposite of Ecuador. They tend to have decent Copa appearances, oddly enough. Even though they're shit in qualifiers historically, for some reason, they always show up in the Copa. They've been playing really well over the last 12 months. I'd actually back Venezuela over Chile this year.
Dude, I want to say Venezuela so bad. I want to say Venezuela so bad.
I got some fun players.
One of the most
do.
electrifying games that I ever saw was Venezuela's last game in 2021 Copa America. It was like the end of the group stage, and I was like eating dinner, and I could see like half the TV through the living room door, and like we're having like our nice Argentine, asado or something like that. They're talking about family stuff, and the whole time I was like, is that Venezuela.
They're popping off in the background.
Popping off. I was like, Dad, are you seeing this? And he's like, it's not Argentina. No me importa. I was like, what is going on? So I would.
The groups are interesting.
The groups are interesting.
The group situations are interesting.
Talk to me about the groups.
Argentina, Canada, Chile, Peru, and then Ecuador, Jamaica, Mexico, Venezuela.
I'm gonna go Chile.
I feel like we have to, or we are frauds. Like if we back Gareca the way we do, and we answer Venezuela.
It might not be Gareca's fault that they lose, though.
Yeah,
you know.
Chile can beat Canada.
Chile can beat
Chile
Canada.
can beat
They
Peru.
beat Canada. Oh, and they definitely can beat Peru.
Pacifico Derby.
Whereas
though. You
Venezuela
never
has
know
to
what
perform
happens.
against
It's gonna
Ecuador.
get chippy.
Venezuela has to play against Mexico at home. And then a feisty Jamaican team as well. is in the cards for them.
Forget the Jamaican.
Venezuela
I
definitely have a
think-
harder group.
yeah, I think
they have a
they're
harder
to play,
group.
and so-
100%.
If it was even, I'd go Venezuela, but I'm going to go Chile due to context.
That's
I'm gonna
fair.
go Chile as well.
That's
yeah.
fair.
I'm locking in on that.
Let's talk Euros. We just spoke about the Copa America and which team has the most pressure going into it. Now, the question that I have to pose to you guys regarding this European tournament is, which Euros team is destined to fail? Destined to fail. Not most pressure. The team that you think that by the end of the tournament will be considered a failure.
Can I take the layup and say Scotland, or do I have to go with like a big profile team here?
Yeah, I mean, because if you think about it, 20 out of the 24 teams are destined to fail.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
you
I
really
agree.
think about it. Albania, playing great football, but there's just no way,
That
you know?
group, man, is
Slovenia.
tough. That group is
Good point.
Rough.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
point.
It's
Then
tough.
let's...
Slovenia's here too. Good for them. I think only their second appearance. So, but yeah, I mean, Slovenia.
Should we get cutthroat with it and just name names?
Yeah, we could.
All right. So who are the big four? The big four that have
Yeah.
something to gain,
Who's
or
the biggest team
That's going to fail. That's how
going
I'm
to
going
fail.
to approach
Team's
this
gonna fail.
question.
Okay.
That's how I'm going to do it.
I'm cool with that. I got something.
so what are we talking? We're talking England. We're talking France.
Yeah, we're talking those. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking Portugal,
We're not talking
maybe.
Slovenia.
We're not talking
With
Slovenia.
all due respect to Slovenians.
Lay the ball off. I'm a. What is that? It's LeBron and Dwayne, right?
Yeah. All right, I'm doing Wade.
All right, Dwayne Wade. Boom! England, baby. It's England. Wow. England.
Destined to fail?
Destined to fail.
Yeah.
Destined to fail.
Historically.
I'm so bearish on Southgate, dude. I do not understand why the FA has him. And I have an English uncle. He is a huge soccer fan. I'm so torn between wanting them to fail because of the Argentine side and having some sympathy. I like the English players. I like my boy Phil Foden. I even feel sympathy for Rashford. I think he's a great guy. Off on the football recently, but
Terrible.
I think Southgate's the kind of manager that is going to bottle it by putting Rashford in there in a season where Jared Bowen is making a case for, most explosive impact player of the year. Like, I don't know.
Cole Palmer.
Cole Palmer. That's fair. There's a lot of penalties, though.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, no. But
Ollie
you-
Watkins
you are
then?
correct. Ollie Watkins,
Maybe I
for
get
sure. I'm just thinking, who is going to make all the wrong decisions? And it always comes back to Southgate for me. And it just sucks because even if I don't want England to win, to see that go to waste is so brutal. So freaking brutal. I don't really see a way around it. I mean, I think everybody else has a decent shout, but you want to. People were talking about Harry Kane whiffing big performances after that miss against France in the World Cup, but it's not his fault. It shouldn't, with an England squad that stacked, it should not come down to that. He should have never been put in that position in the first place. And I think that can be directly attributed to Southgate. I think in the last Euros that we saw and in the World Cup and if we want to talk friendlies too, against Brazil, you can't lose. You can't lose to them at Wembley. Wembley is your spot. What's going on? And I think I'm a hater. I blame it all on Southgate.
I think there's definitely a case that England is one of the national teams in the world that consistently doesn't play their best players. You know, like, this is a European segment. I'm going to keep it there. But with Mexico, the biggest argument is always like Santi Jimenez. You know, like, why isn't he starting? When we're talking about England, bro, there's like arguably a list of like 4 or 5 guys where it's like, how is this guy not? Why is Jordan Henderson still a starter on the team? Why is Rashford up top? Harry Maguire, Jordan Pickford even. I mean, there's genuinely like 4 or 5 positions where you look at Southgate's favor and you say, objectively, this guy's probably the 3rd or 4th best guy at his position in the English depth pool. So for that reason, I agree. I think he's going to fumble it with the selection. I don't think he's a tactician, but England are stacked.
Yeah.
So I don't see them losing earlier than the semifinal. That's kind of where I see the floor for England. Purely talent. Sometimes we just see national teams, Hajime Moriyasu with Japan, he just gets carried by the talent. Dude's a fraud. But the team is so good that he's going to achieve a certain floor. That's just what I see with England. So I don't. And is it doomed to fail if you lose in the semifinals? I think you're safe.
Looking at that talent pool, I think winning is the only option. I mean, or
they
finals
should
at
win.
least.
They should win the Euro.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't see a catastrophic campaign. They're not getting grouped. There's no Iceland again. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I honestly couldn't have said it any better than y'all two just put it for England. Watching Southgate's England is you're just kind of waiting for something to happen, which is so disappointing when you consider that there's, 10 elite players that could be picked, and he just continues to pick the wrong ones, it seems. But as you're saying, it's almost like no matter who he picks, probably at least going to go to the quarters, and you're probably going to get to the semis. They're that good. Yeah. They're that stacked. England's such an interesting team, and I think it's why they're so easy to hate on. They're so easy to root for, to love. Like, England's such a weird-ass team. But yeah, I mean, I completely agree with both of y'all's points here.
It's weird because I also do agree with you guys. They could be destined to fail.
We're not used to this.
I just think that I guess I have a little bit more sympathy for Southgate than maybe you guys do, because looking at the gig that he has, I think there's an argument to be made that he has the toughest international head coaching job in football right now. When you look at the options at hand, I mean, so many times he gets criticized, and it's fair because I do think he's a mediocre international head coach. But like, you go on Twitter and you look at what people's potential starting 11 XIs for England are, and they're all different, bro. Because we all don't really know what the solution is to the best starting 11 for England. I think it's one of the toughest puzzles to figure out. And so I'm not going to be harsh on Southgate for not doing it, because I would struggle in that position, bro. I think you would too. All of us would, because the amount of talent is ridiculous. What do you do when you're at the international stage with that much talent, especially up top? It's a headache of a situation to figure out. But I agree with you guys. Like, yeah, ultimately, I think because of that problem that does exist, I do think they're going to be destined to fail. It just sucks because the talent is so good, and it really is so tough to figure out.
It's also tough, too, because even with all of these decisions that Southgate does, he does get some right. I remember when he brought on Calvin Phillips like several years ago. I thought that was an amazing decision, and he was balling at the time. Yep. So it's not like Southgate's the worst manager. He does make some good decisions. It's just tough, as you said, because he has probably the hardest job because he has the most stacked team in all of international football. But it's just so interesting because, my God, do they get real close, man. They get real close. This last Euros, the last 2 World Cups, like it's hard to criticize England, but it also is easy because you expect England to go to the final every time if you really look at how stacked they are in every single position. Destined to fail, possibly. And that's just crazy to say considering how good they are.
I do think, though, that I'm not going to pick them as the one team out of the big teams that I think is destined to fail. I think there's other teams that have a bigger, red dot on their head. What's the fucking term? Target on their fucking head.
They got that red beam.
Yeah. I think there's other teams that got it more clearly. And for me, the one I went with was Belgium. Ranked at number 3 on FIFA's world rankings. You're setting yourself up with failure with that high of a ranking. Everyone has seen the history of Belgium in the past 8 years with the way their golden generation has ultimately fanned out in these big competitions. I don't see it happening again.
Yeah, Belgium for me was also my pick, by the way. So if I could add to...
Hey, did y'all talk before we started?
Yeah, right.
Nice.
So if I could add on to why I completely agree with you, it's because of that. The golden generation is over. They're a very talented team, though. They have players like Luis Openda. Kevin De Bruyne is still there, obviously, but then you have Trossard, who's just balling out at Arsenal. He was balling when he was at Brighton. You have Yuri Tielemans, who's, he's decent. Onana as well is pretty good. So it's not like they have bad players. Doku as well.
Is Charles de Ketelaere, is he Belgian?
Charles de Ketelaere from Atalanta also. So they have a lot of really good talent. I just think they're too raw right now. And to win the Euros, it's usually, almost always, it's a very experienced team that wins it. So while they do have incredible talent right now, I just think they need to shape up a little bit more, get a little bit sharper, like they were back in 2018, when they had prime Hazard, prime Witsel, prime De Bruyne, prime Lukaku, Vertonghen. Everyone was in their prime at the time. Right now, everyone's just very raw, very young. So that's why I just think Belgium's set up to fail because of that. They'll be a fun team to watch, though, for sure.
Belgium was a very interesting nomination, and to go full hater mode, the reason that I didn't is because, bro, can you even consider them like one of the big dogs anymore? I feel like
that's the thing. You can't, but they're top 3 and they're the top 6 in the UEFA rankings.
Brother, where's Mexico in the FIFA rankings? We know we can't.
I know, for sure. We can't. But looking at the results, they did really well in Euros qualification. Like, they've done things that if it were any other international team, we would be praising.
Sweden.
But that's most Euro groups for qualification. Because there's 50 teams divided by 8.
That's true. I just feel like
I'm doing math.
That's so valid.
50 divided by 8.
Bro, I just feel like with Belgium, it's like the makeup is off. It's pouring outside. Everything's running. There's nothing to hide anymore. We kind of know who they are. And if you don't, then I think you only play FIFA. I genuinely think you only look at the overall rating of the starting 11. You're like, these guys should win the Euros because you just know based on how they performed, they're not at that level. And like you guys said, the golden generation's done. It's finished. We're moving on to the younglings now, and they're just not ready. Another thing with Belgium, though, that I think might protect them a little bit is I'm looking at this group. It's not that bad. Ukraine, I'm sorry. They're better than the Ukrainians. Slovakia, stingy team, but again, I think Belgium are the favorites in that game. And Romania, I think the most arguably underrated European side right now. They had an amazing qualification. Belgium probably draw them. I don't know. I don't see a Belgium grouped scenario, for example. Could they lose in the first knockout round of 16? Yeah, maybe they could, and that'd be a disaster. But I think it'll probably be a round of 16 quarterfinals, and that's about right for this Belgian side.
Yeah, completely agree.
I guess because it's so predictable, I think that's why I see them as destined to fail. You bring up a good point. You don't really even consider them a big team. And I think that is worth noting because what they've done in the past has warranted the treatment of a smaller, mid-sized country. And so I'm kind of with you on this one. And it makes me curious to know who's your number one team then that's destined to fail.
My number one team, I thought about England a lot, but like we already talked about, I think the talent will protect them. It's just like an extra, layer of shield and halo. The team that I went with is the Netherlands. And the reason I went with the Netherlands is I think this team is worse than they were at the World Cup. I think Ronald Koeman is a worse coach than Van Gaal. And if you look at how these guys have been playing with Koeman as the manager, genuinely in about 14 games, the best team they've beaten is Greece. And as a man who lived in Greece and has a very deep connection to that country, they're shite. This Dutch team, every single time, Dak's getting the stats out, every single time they played a good team, they've lost. France, they lost 4-0. Croatia, 4-2. Italy, 3-2. France, 2-1 again. Germany, 2-1.
Wow.
The best win, y'all, I'm not kidding, it's either 3-0 Greece at home or 4-0 Scotland. I'll give it to you. Beating the Scots by 4, that's good.
Yeah.
But those teams aren't ranked in the top 35 in the FIFA rankings.
And you look at their group. Their group is tough.
And that group, dude, don't sleep on the polls.
The
polls,
I'll sleep on the polls.
I'll gladly sleep on the polls. Gladly.
I mean, the game is going to be a snooze fest because the boy's going to park the bus. And it's probably going to be a 0-0. Like, they can do enough annoying shit to, get a point with the Netherlands. And who are the other two teams in the
France
group?
And Austria.
Come on, bro.
Yep.
Come on, bro.
Yep.
Yeah.
France, that's a loss.
Yep.
That's a loss for sure.
They're your daddy.
Guaranteed.
Right now. And Austria, they're so hot and cold under Rangnick, you have no idea. But Koeman hasn't beaten anybody on Austria's level.
Yeah.
So you might be thinking a draw there. It could be a situation where they get 4 points and finish third on goal differential or something.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm kind of like answering my own question. Who's the best team they can beat right now in Europe?
No, that's the thing. That's why I have nothing else to add other than the Netherlands are destined to fail. They are screwed.
Lock them.
They are screwed, bro.
I think the answers we're giving are really good, man.
Yeah, like
Belgium and Netherlands.
Could they beat Belgium? I think that'd be it.
Belgium could beat
Belgium
Netherlands.
can be the Netherlands.
Oh, you think so? Belgium
Yeah.
would be the favorite for y'all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I consider the Netherlands now to be right in that second tier, but in the lower portion of it. Like, can they compete with the top 6? Ultimately, no. I don't think they can. They can fight within their region. Obviously, they can beat teams lower than them, but when push comes to shove, I just don't see this Netherlands teams really being successful at this tournament. Yeah, I completely agree.
Dude, I think you need to nominate the other team that you were going to say.
Italy.
Croatia.
Yes.
I was thinking about Croatia.
I think we need to talk about it.
Look, you've got 2 of your most prominent players. One of them is aging out. The other one, Kovacic at Manchester City, has not had a phenomenal start to life. And they're both sort of defensive-minded, especially now. Like, Modric can give you those wonderful moments, but I don't think that they have the longevity that you need for this. And, I mean, look, Modric is going to do God's work, but he's got 20 minutes of God's work in him left a game. And, you know, you factor in the team talks that he's going to give going out there. I don't know if y'all saw the DeAndre Yedlin team talk that the United States got a while back. We clowned that man, and we love DeAndre Yedlin.
Yeah,
we used to love him. But you can't have somebody like that. They do have Modric, so I think that will carry them so far. But, I mean, there's still, I feel like I'm still clinging them and putting them in this box like, oh, well, they, you know, finished runner-up at the World Cup. Oh, they had a decent World Cup this year, you know, before Argentina put on arguably the best performance at the World Cup, right? I don't think they got the gumption anymore. I think it's been phased out, and I think that they're going to underperform according to worldwide expectations. If you really look at it, I think it makes sense how they're going to fall out, which is why I didn't pick them over England. Because, I mean, going back to the Netherlands really quick, I think the Netherlands would give England a problem, just like the United States did. I think the England team would show up and they'd be ready to, you know, for a certain kind of game. The Netherlands are like, the English? Hell no. We're going at them. And they would struggle with that. I think it makes too much sense that Croatia would not perform up to what I expect from them or what people expect to them in general. England, the math ain't mathin'. You got me buffering again. I'm like doing quick math. My 54 divided by 8. Quadrupled Harry Kane on top at the 9. You know, it doesn't make sense. But Croatia, I kind of had to write them out. And I hate saying that because I like them. I like them genuinely.
Well, it's a storyline, right? Is 2022, was that the swan song, or is this a swan song? What are we going to see from this Croatian side? And if you look at how they've been playing recently, it's not been that great. They lost to Wales. They lost to Turkey.
They're not scoring really either.
No. And then when they're beating teams like, I think they beat Armenia twice, but they beat them 1-0 both times.
Yes, yeah.
This team, it's an inevitability. You eventually got to close the book. And I think Croatia is a great nomination because I personally will be shocked if they make like another quarters or semis. I'm just going to be like, damn, dude, these guys won't die. Again, they might be invincible or something, but
yeah.
It's got to happen eventually. It's a tough group, in the group of death. I mean, even Albania, dude. Don't sleep on the Albanians. Yep. Do not sleep.
They'll wake you up.
Bro.
They'll wake you up.
They're
You
going
can't.
to wake you up.
Albanians are playing their best football right now. You can't sleep on them whatsoever. But yeah, I agree. I just think Croatia's old, and also a lot of their players are out of form right now at club level. So you compare to their performances when they did have really good runs at the World Cup, everyone was in form, and they also had, you know, a leader in Modric, and he wasn't as fatigued or as tired. I just think Croatia, that beautiful run that they pulled off, I think it's ran its course. I would be very surprised if they get past the round of 16. I would be very surprised.
I think quarters is the ceiling for Croatia. Like, I don't know who they're predicted to play if they finish runner-up or something. But
yeah.
If they play a group winner from, I think it would be Group A, talking maybe Germany, Hungary, or Switzerland.
I'm backing any three of those teams.
Yes.
Gvardiol got to put You got to put the mask back on. That's what it is.
That's all he's got to do.
Here. Yeah,
Livakovic.
it's a vibe. But you can't. If I watch that man walk out the tunnel with the mask on, give it some Batman ears, I'm like, oh, we in trouble.
Yeah, he's gonna have to have another World Cup campaign where he was team of the tournament.
Yeah.
He was
Unplayed.
amazing. He was amazing at the World Cup. But that's the thing, though, is that even Gvardiol, I wouldn't say he's having a bad season at Manchester City, but he's definitely playing in a position that he's having to get used to. Yeah. And I think that's going to confuse his own performances for Croatia. I just don't think everything that's going on right now at club level for the Croatian players is not going to help the national team.
Of these three teams, who's most destined to fail? Germany, Italy, Portugal. Let me throw in Spain.
Germany, Italy, Portugal, Spain. Destined.
I think the Germans. And I got some German friends, and this doesn't
Scaring
come.
me with.
I don't. Not the Argentine German allegiance. Not again. Don't run it back.
And we're back.
We're right back to where we started. Look, I don't have any hatred for them after 2014 anymore. That's all played its course. I don't think that the German machine is running as it should right now.
But does it need to if it's in Germany, the Euros? Right?
Damn, that's a good point. That's
what I'm saying.
I don't think it needs to, which is crazy. Yeah. I would completely agree if this tournament was not in Germany.
No, but you are so correct about that. I was so bullish on not having faith in them, but you're right. That being in Germany, I think the whole country is going to get up for that because they have such faith in like a metaphorical remontada of German footballing culture because they've been daddy for so long, and now they're having a bit of a rough patch. But if there's anybody that's like keen at engineering, right, and finding problems and fixing them, it's the Germans.
Yeah, dude,
they do that.
I don't know. I feel like the vibes right now in the German locker room are probably really good. Like, I don't want to analyze one friendly window too much, but it was a big deal that they beat France. Like, it really feels like Nagelsmann, who just signed an extension, didn't he? Yeah. It feels like things are starting to click after a series of really bad decisions for Germany, and of course, they're playing at home. So I completely agree. If the Euros was in Bulgaria, then, maybe they're a little more susceptible, but I don't know. And the team's good. I feel like Nagelsmann's kind of struck oil here with this team. Of course, we'll have to see I want to see one more window. They could lose the next two friendlies, and I'm back on this table saying they're going out in the group stage. I kind of want to nominate, and this is hot. I kind of want to nominate Spain.
What's the case?
Goal scoring. I think it's an issue.
Yeah,
I think it's an issue. I think we saw it at the World Cup, inability to break down low blocks.
Yamal relying on a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The talent's insane.
Talent's great. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I honestly, I'd back Germany, I'd back Portugal. Spain, not as much. Yeah, I agree.
Portugal's group is not that. Yeah. They got Georgia. They don't take 3 from that. And then Turkey. I'm so bearish. I could not be more bearish on the Turkish national team, especially after the last Euro. They let me down.
They let me down so
Czech
hard.
Czech Republic, honestly, it could be a draw. Portugal, Czech Republic. It's a solid team. But, yeah, man. And Spain, again, in the group of death. You can't have a bad match day in Group B, or you're going home pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, I see Spain going about their Spanish ways, controlling matches, not being flashy about it. I don't see them as ultimately lifting the trophy, and it will be because of the things you pointed out. But I don't know if I would see that as failure for them.
Would you go Italy then?
You're going for the Italians. You want that Italian throat.
You don't like Germany. You don't think he the man?
I think Portugal, man.
Oh, you think Portugal?
Yeah.
Alberto, you don't back Mr. Martinez.
I don't back Martinez whatsoever. And I feel like Portugal has underwhelmed ultimately going out in the quarterfinals of the 2022 FIFA World Cup. The talent is always so incredible. On paper, one of my favorite teams to just look at, man. You look at that roster, it is so fun to just look at. But then you see the product on the pitch, and there's moments where, they match that level of quality that they have. And that you're like, okay, Portugal has arrived. Portugal looks great. But then there's really interesting lows, questionable, confusing lows that just don't make me put that trust, invest that trust?
Invest that.
No, there's another.
Invest that faith.
Instill.
There you go.
Instill that faith. Instill that faith.
Okay. Yeah.
But there's just some. Jump in this shit.
Gotta keep that in.
But I just cannot instill that same amount of faith in them because of the lows I see from them. I don't trust it ultimately. I think they might be a quarterfinals type of exit type of team here. And I do see that as a failure compared to these other 3 teams.
That's a really good point. They feel like Belgium. Like,
a little
just
bit.
the potential. You're like, what is going on?
A little bit.
What's
They won
happening?
the Euros a couple times.
And they're going to put it all
Big
on
difference.
Ronaldo. If Ronaldo doesn't go, they're going to put it on Ronaldo, which I think is unfair.
It's like playing with LeBron. It does bring extra pressure, even though my man's 39 years old. It's just like a different microscope that you play under. I'm gonna throw this out there, and y'all tell me this is fair. I love the Portugal shout, and I almost said Portugal. I just think the group stage will be substantially more difficult for Spain. But if they win the group, I think it's the semis for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
So it's kind of like, all right, if Spain it and they take 6 or something from the group and they go through, I think they'll beat probably Switzerland or something that they'll see in the next round, and then they'll come up against a big boy, and we'll see. Whereas Portugal, I feel like they would have a more easy group stage, and then round of 16, we could be looking at a knockout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just think Portugal they're kind of like England, obviously way less stacked, but their base level is just so good. Even though they ultimately probably will underwhelm, I just think their base level of players that they have is just going to be too good. For Spain, Spain's interesting, man, because they did prove at the World Cup that, they can play really good football. They definitely ultimately struggled against low blocks for sure, but they had a tricky group. Japan and Germany were not easy for Spain, but they ultimately were able to figure it out. I think Spain will do the same thing at the Euros. They won't go all the way. They're not winning it. I just don't have them doing it, but they have the personnel to figure out tricky games. You get 3 chances in the group stage. I just see Spain figuring it out.
And the Italy game is fascinating. What does Spalletti do? I have no idea.
I don't know how Italy are going to perform. Obviously, the holders, right? But my goodness, I didn't give them anything going into last Euros. I didn't give them anything. They ended up winning the whole thing. So I honestly don't even want to touch Italy personally because, my God, I don't know how they're going to perform. I did not expect their last performance at the Euros whatsoever.
No, nobody did. But I would almost give them a plus for that because we don't know what's going to happen. Even if they don't know what's going to happen, there's talent there.
Yeah.
I think I like that sort of unpredictability. I'm always a fan of the intangibles, and that sort of confusion that's going to drive these like master tacticians of coaches crazy. They're not going to know what to do. And if Italy doesn't know what they're doing either, who knows? It's a slip up in the box. Next thing you know, they're winning the round of 16 and moving on. You're like, what the hell just happened?
Well, how often do you get to be the title holders and also like underdogs at the same time?
Yeah,
like, that's
it's crazy.
There's not many national teams that have been more disrespected than Italy in the last 4 years because they missed out on the World Cup to North Macedonia. And then it was the circus. It was the clown show. Oh my God, Italy sucks. Of course, no one called the Euros Mickey Mouse. Italy won. It's only the Asian Cup when Qatar wins. But the point is, they're not in the spotlight despite being the holder. And they have Spalletti, who I very much rate. And I think a lot of their players are looking pretty good right now.
Yeah.
So they're the most unpredictable team at the Euros. I think by far the Italians.
Yeah, I completely agree. Which is why I want to say both. They might be the most underwhelming team out of those 4 that you said, or they might be the best out of those 4, bro. I don't know.
Group stage or repeat champions. We have no idea what's going to happen with Italy.
And the last region to talk alongside with our Deadball TV boys is the Asian region. AFC, let's talk some AFC football because something I loved about Deadball TV was that they were covering the Asian Cup while we were covering it as well. So a lot of the same viewers kind of translated or crossed over to their channels. And it was a beautiful thing to see. But now we'd like to talk about AFC moving forward. Now that we've seen Qatar lift the Asian Cup, going into 2026 in the World Cup, which AFC team do you guys think has the best future heading into the World Cup? Of all the teams in Asia right now, who has the best future?
There's so many fun teams, honestly, that you could pick here. And I am so curious to hear y'all's. I don't talk Asian football with anybody else other than this man right here. So the fact that I get to do it right now is incredibly exciting. Do y'all want me to go first?
I want you to go first.
You want me to go first?
We are a rare breed, though. People
Okay.
who can talk Asian footy.
Yeah.
Like a white rhinoceros. There's a handful of us out there. Dude.
For the future going into 2026, I think the team that has the best prospect is Iraq for me. It's going to be Iraq. Jesus Casas is Iraq. Lost to Jordan in the quarterfinals of this last year's AFC Asian Cup. But my God, the way and style that they played, even in that game and all the games prior, they dominated. The way that they move the ball so quickly, they're so aggressive, they're so physical. Ayman Hussein established himself as an elite striker in the Asian region. He's clinical. He's your classic number 9. And then beneath him, you have really good workers. Osama Rashid's a really good defensive midfielder. The work rate of Amin Yusuf was incredible. I mean, he was an engine. He never ran out of energy. It was incredible. But you could say that about every single Iraqi player because they were unified. They were so in sync. And then you actually have really fun players like Ali Jassim. What a baller. Incredible dribble. And then you have players like Mohamed Ali who could come off the bench. Zidane Iqbal who can also come off the bench and just add a lot of really good techers, really good technique, and just give a little bit more spice to that offense that Iraq have. I just think Iraq have a very complete team that has a lot of different avenues of attack. And they also prove that they can bunker in and defend. They just got very unlucky in this Asian Cup with a red card.
Damn.
I will probably for the rest of my life maintain that I've never, ever seen a team play as good as Iraq did at the Asian Cup and not win the tournament.
They were perfect, man.
It was genuinely... Y'all can find the stream on Deadball TV. Like, my mouth was open. My jaw was on the floor when Jordan scored the winner. Yeah. Because I'm looking at this team and I'm like, hold on. Iraq have dominated. And they're going out in the round of 16. It was just like mind-blowing. It's kind of like the beauty of football because Jordan...
Cruelty.
The
Cruelty, my friend.
Yeah.
Cruel. Dude, I was feeling for my Iraqi brothers out there. Like, it was tough. And I love the nomination because you're right. This team is freaking stacked.
Yeah.
I mean, and they deserve exposure at the World Cup because the world needs to know how good these guys are. Because us at this table, we watched the Asian Cup. Most people didn't, though. They just checked the box score and saw, oh, okay, round of 16 at the Asian Cup. They have no idea the monster that's waiting under the bed that is Iraq. So I love the nomination. I kind of thought program-wise a little bit.
Like college.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to go which U17 team has the brightest future? And a team that your viewers are going to love this is Indonesia.
Indonesia, baby, let's go. I was going to say the same thing.
Indonesia, smash the like button. I think we're seeing a serious power shift inside. Let's just focus on Southeast Asia for a second, all right? Vietnam have kind of been on top while Park Hang-seo was the manager for the past couple years. Thailand were right behind, and Indonesia was kind of like battling Malaysia for like 3rd place. Now I think we're seeing, at the past Asian Cup, the first time that they've made the knockouts in their history, massive deal. The fact that they just booty spanked arch rivals Vietnam so bad they sacked Trossier.
Yeah.
And are basically confirmed to round 3 of World Cup qualifying. Now, that might be where the story ends, but that still is a massive improvement from years prior. And we're looking at their U23 team, which just beat South Korea earlier today on penalties and qualified for the Olympics. I want to say the first time ever. Somebody check me. It might not be the first time, but they're in the semifinals now. And damn near half the starting 11 that's in the U23 team was in the Asian Cup.
Oh, yeah.
That's how young they are, man.
They're the youngest team at the Asian Cup as well, and they made the knockouts, and they kind of collapsed against Australia, but
it's Asian La Masia, bro.
Dude, it's insane right now, and a lot of that is because of their dual national program, which has completely transformed Indonesia, and it's something that Vietnam, they don't have a dual nat program. Malaysia does, but he's not bringing in the same amount of talent as Indonesia. And I think also with Indonesia, you see a country that is so football crazed, they're willing to invest the resources into getting the program where it needs to be. Is it corrupt as hell? You goddamn right. But at least there's going to be positive movement, and we can see that at the youth level and at the senior level. So I think Indonesia, will they qualify for 2026? I don't think they will, but I think they will qualify for the next World Cup in 2030, and I think they will make the knockouts again in the 2027 Asian Cup.
Yeah.
stole my pick completely, and that's not to pander to my viewers or anything. But I also took the question the same way. Future, just what team has a really good youth coming up through the ranks? I do think it's Indonesia, and I agree, man. Like World Cup qualification, especially in Asia, is brutal. It's brutal, and it's unfortunate, but I do think they won't be able to qualify into the tournament. But still, the fact that they're already doing so well, that they've got Vietnam's number not once, not twice, but 3 times in a row is just such a big statement. And then you top that with what we're seeing at the U23 Asian Cup right now. It's really, really positive.
Beat Australia.
It's really good, man. And I think it's worth noting. So I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, it's a hell of a pick. If you look at where Indonesia were 4 years ago and where they are now, probably the most improved team across the entire planet. And, you know, Panama could also be up there. Like,
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, it's crazy how good Indonesia have gotten, considering how low in the rankings that they were literally just even a year or 2 years ago. But yeah, it's because of how young they are, man. And because of that dual national program. Ivar Jenner, Justin Hoovman, Marcelo Ferdinand. I was so impressed. Seriously, like, I could not believe how good Indonesia were, considering that they're basically, at the time, a nobody country in the footballing world. So now that they're already making an impact at these youth tournaments and at the Asian Cup where they qualify for the knockout round, it's incredible what they've been able to achieve. It's a perfect pick. Indonesia, definitely one of the brightest futures in the world.
And they won the esports Asian Cup.
They did win the esports AFC Asian Cup.
So they're also good on the
They beat Japan.
That should have been the first point.
They good on the sticks too. Oh man, fellas, I don't know how to follow that up. I was gonna go with a layup and say Japan. Even
and you
though
should.
I
think you should.
Japan's still one of the best teams.
We've got to talk about Japan. I cannot go. I'm famously not as involved with the AFC on the channel, but I need to get into it. But yeah, Japan's kind of capturing, like the rest of the world, they're capturing my hearts and minds all over the place. The amount of talent that they're exporting out is just phenomenal, and they're being really hamstrung by a really subpar coach, like one that the talent on the field does not deserve. And I mean, you just want to see these guys do better. I was going to go with my heart, and I want Faisalayev in Uzbekistan to be good. I love that dude. I loved his big head. Brothers unite.
He's good.
He's good too. He was electric. That was the one that I was like, okay, we're doing this for the channel. I got to get educated. But that was the one that locked me in. Yeah. Seeing that man like with the ball at his feet, I was like, that's impressive. But I'm really gunning for Japan. I love them. I love them, but they're great. It's accessible. The culture's fantastic, and the people. I mean, the
talent's
football.
crazy.
The
talent is crazy.
insane.
We can't deny that, and they do have a lot of young players that are also like really fucking good.
Yes.
Out of the ones we didn't mention, like Uzbekistan and Qatar, who has a better future between those two teams?
Uzbekistan for me, and I'm gonna say a couple things. One, again, when you look at the talent in the current U23 squad, there are some very, very good players for this Uzbek side. And also, if you want to look at the performance at the U17, U20, U23 level in Asia recently, if you go back 20 years, Uzbekistan barely did anything at all. You know, like the senior team made a couple knockouts and then lost immediately at the Asian Cup. It was definitely like an Asian backwater country. But if you look at the youth levels since 2012, I mean, Uzbekistan are the current U20 Asian Cup champions. I don't know if you guys knew that. And I don't know if you guys knew that they were the runners-up in the U23 a couple years ago. And at the U17 level, they finished third. So those are 3 different youth tournaments in the last round that they were a top 4 finisher. I shouldn't say third because there is no third place game in U17. So they're technically third or fourth.
Third, fourth, yeah.
I think Iraq was the other. No, Iran. It doesn't matter. But the point is, if you look at since 2000, the amount of semifinal appearances and championships at the youth level for Uzbekistan is crazy. Like, they're right there with Saudi Arabia, Japan, and South Korea. They're outperforming Iran, who's a historic Asian giant. They're running them off the pitch in these levels. And I think the Uzbek league is not the best, but you're still seeing the talent there. And there's something that I heard about, some loophole that's basically going to make it easier for Uzbek players to play in the Turkish Super League, where they will not be counted as foreign players.
Oh, nice.
So we talk about this so much on DeadballTV, especially when we talk about Indonesia and Vietnam and all that stuff. Pathways.
Yeah.
You need to have pathways for players. Japan is an established commodity. They're like Brazilians. There's a pathway for the Japanese to get to Europe. It's either Belgium or Germany or the Netherlands most of the time. The Uzbeks, the Tajiks, the Kurds, Kyrgyzstan.
I always struggle with that one, bro.
Kyrgyzstanis. They don't really have that yet, but now you're seeing Uzbek take one step in that direction. The Turkish League, they're gonna sell you. They're gonna make money. They're gonna sell you. So that's a big deal. That's a very like underrated win, I think, for the Uzbeks.
Yeah, man. I have really enjoyed following Uzbekistan this last year. I've been watching a lot of AFC Champions League football. So they have a couple of clubs that play in the Champions League. And the first thing that I notice is their approach to the game. It's that of a high-level European football club. Just the technique's not there. But if you teach that way of playing football throughout their entire youth ranks, eventually you're going to see all of this progression. And I think we're seeing it now. Uzbekistan had a decent AFC Asian Cup. I didn't know that they had just won or gotten close to winning all of these youth tournaments, but it makes sense. The way that they played, even in the Uzbek league, it's very progressive. It's very, there's a very big emphasis off the pass. And so you teach that to all the young Uzbekistan kids, you're going to start seeing some ballers like Faisulayev, for example. So yeah, I think Uzbekistan's a great pick as far as like, who's going to have a good future. Although Qatar right now do have a good team, and they continue to get decent players, but no one on, let's say, Akram Afif's level, for example.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the youth talent there so much with Qatar.
Yeah.
I think they're a decent factory right now, but I think the golden age of like the investment in their academies, I think we've seen the best of that, at least for the next like 4 years. You know, I don't know, 2030 cycle, they might be back, but for 2026, or maybe if I'm combining the next 2 cycles on ag, I still think that the Uzbeks, if we're talking about what teams had the most progression to go, you have to put the Uzbeks on there. Because, I mean, the trophies and the accolades with the youth teams speak for themselves. And let's not forget, they lost to the Asian champions on penalties when their team was ravaged. They lost their best player, Shomurodov, days before the tournament. They had no striker the entire time. They played Uranov and Masharipov as a striker. Neither of those guys can do that. And then Shukurov goes out injured. I think Shmurodov was also suspended. I mean, they were decimated. And they lost to penalties. Lost on penalties, Qatar.
Yeah.
Got to put some respect in the White Wolves, man. I'm a big fan.
Have to.
Absolutely. Do you think Jordan's going to get to the World Cup this time around?
No.
You don't think so?
I think Jordan caught fire and they will lose.
What if this was a sign of change for Jordan? Like, what if this is the 11 that can actually pull it off? Because when they did play really good football, honestly, they were the best team in Asia this year.
Yeah.
And I think it's not a fluke that they got to the final. Luck was definitely involved outside of that Iraq game. Jordan played some really electric football when they were on it.
I think that's the only game they got lucky.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think they got lucky against Tajikistan or anybody else.
And I think they
they killed them.
Yeah, and I think they got unlucky against Qatar in the final.
Yeah. Man, the thing with Jordan is I just look at them and I wonder, I could totally be wrong. I just wonder if their style of play is better for knockout football than it is for like a long qualifying cycle. And they're not even guaranteed round 3 yet, bro. They have Tajikistan and the Saudis.
For sure.
If they lose another game, they're done pretty much. So that's another thing that's kind of stacked against them, whereas like teams like Japan, they're just not threatened in the group. They got North Korea and Myanmar, for the love of God. You know, talking about different.
Right.
You know, not everybody's dealt the same hand, and the Jordanians kind of have a difficult one here.
Same with Tajikistan. Like, they had such a good campaign. It sucks that they're in the same group as Saudi Arabia and Jordan.
I'm surprised that we haven't mentioned a country that has a superstar. 38 years old is not one of the teams of the future. And
I'm not surprised that we haven't mentioned South Korea.
Oh, shit. I'm going India, baby.
Oh, you going India? Oh, word.
No, I wasn't going India. I don't know where I was going.
I'm being sarcastic. India's future? No, nothing.
Absolutely finished.
There's no way.
Yeah.
They
might qualify into the 3rd round somehow. They're in 2nd place right now.
You do realize if they get to round 3, they're probably getting 4 points.
Oh, I do realize that.
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys, and this is something that I've never landed on. What's the deal with countries with massive populations, and I understand that maybe China and India are not football centric, but I'm looking at Mexico, the largest Spanish speaking nation on the planet.
Hey, whoa. Let's not compare Mexico to India, bro.
No. But they are historic underperformers, right? Especially recently, right? They do really well at the Copa America.
What are you getting
but right
at?
now, they don't have, to me, the amount of population that they have, it's ridiculous.
Oh, for sure.
That they have to find Argentine coaches to coach them. We for whatever reason, the world loves an Argentine coach. I get it. You've deserved so much more. You've deserved so much more than the coaches you've been working with, right? The talent that you have should be stupendous. There's no reason that Uruguay is putting out bigger superstars or more superstars, right? And we talked about the development on the channel of how hard it is to get a Mexican star out of Mexico, right? Why would you want to leave? You're literally a superhero playing for your childhood club. I totally understand, right? But with like China and India, I mean, the two most populous countries in the world, how are they not in these conversations? And I want your opinion. This isn't something that I have a definitive opinion on. More Mexico, if anything, at least there's a reason I can point to.
Yeah.
And maybe India, you could say, okay, big cricket guys, fantastic.
Yeah.
But why? So many people, and football being a massive sport, it's at what point does it become a numbers game? It's not.
So true.
Because we don't have the evidence.
I think what's weird is you could make a parallel between Mexico and India and saying that infrastructure doesn't really allow their domestic players to fully succeed, right? Liga MX, famous for keeping their players and not letting them go past the Liga MX level into Europe. And then India, famous for being cricket, cricket-focused country, and also just not having the infrastructure or the support to have football success. China's weird though, because they have tried to improve the infrastructure over the last decade. That project kind of died out though, like 4 or 5 years ago. And so now China's in this weird limbo stage where they tried to improve the infrastructure. It didn't work. And now they're back to square one where the football is just not good. China's a weird case.
Because you look at like the Olympics and it's always the US, Russia, and China that are the top teams. And China's so good in so many different sports. It's not just one sole sport. But for soccer, for football, they just can't figure it out.
I think I think with China, it's like they tried and they started making the right moves, but they didn't stick with it long enough. Like you can't go hard in the Chinese Super League for 5 years and expect you to like qualify for a World Cup. Like you can't go on the ketogenic diet for 3 days, and if you don't lose 10 pounds, we're like, well, it doesn't work. Like, bro, you didn't do it long enough. You weren't even in ketosis. That's what the Chinese are basically doing with football development. They weren't in ketosis yet. And in their defense, the senior team is abysmal. It's abysmal, devoid of any talent. The youth team at the U23 Asian Cup, I actually thought they had some bright moments. They should have beaten South Korea and probably should have advanced from the group. It was a little more attacking. There was some individual tech on display. I was very surprised. They ended up getting beaten by a very clinical South Korean side, and I think they finished third in the end. But if I got to put money on this table, which country bounces back first, China or India? I'm putting the farm on China, bro. Because China have also already done things at the Asian Cup. They've already made semifinals of this tournament. India are so irrelevant that I honestly don't even want to discuss them on this podcast. They are that terrible of a national team. Like, Guatemala would body India. Genuinely. They destroy them.
Nicaragua honestly would have a good chance too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, you catch, if the Indian national team played an away game in Haiti, they'd probably lose 4-0. Like, they are so terrible. And I don't want to beat up the piñata, but sometimes I just gotta counter the fan base, dude. Y'all have seen it. Y'all have seen the tidal wave.
I saw it.
Y'all have seen it.
You got it from the Indians, man.
Oh, dude. Hey, they were real quiet after that Uzbekistan stream, though. They kept saying it. I'll see you tomorrow. I said, okay, I'll see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock. I got up at 6:45, brushed my teeth, turned on the camera. I didn't see him, though.
Faisal Aliyev ushered them from the premises.
Yeah. It was weird.
Where'd they go?
I have no idea. I'm still looking for them.
Oh, shit.
They're the cricket matches.
Oh, shit.
They went back to the cricket matches.
They did. I mean, I couldn't. Some of the
At
comments
what
were
point
gone,
does
too.
this get disrespectful?
It was a crazy
At one
thing.
point, I don't know. I was about to say them and the Australians, but
You got the Aussies against you?
No. I was saying they're both watching cricket right now.
Oh, okay.
For this discussion.
I think that's a good transition, actually. I think Australian football, and I'd love to hear what you guys think. I think it's kind of stuck right now.
Yeah, but I mean, is that super surprising?
No, it's a little.
I just because like when I think of Australian football, they've had some really good footballers over the years, but they've never really focused on it. They have the A-League's decent, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And they always have players in Europe. You know, they have that huge Scottish contingency that goes on, right? Mm-hmm. And they find ways into other European leagues. Hrustic in Italy, for example.
What did Hrustic do?
That's the thing, though, is that the overall ceiling for an Australian footballer has proven to not be that high. So it's like, are they stuck? Yes. Am I surprised by that? No. Do they have European talent? Yes. Will that make them competitive in Asia? Absolutely. But I think they always play at a good, very solid level for Australia. And I think that's where Australia always lies. But I guess you're more so saying that they're going to get way worse?
I don't know if they're going to get way worse.
Yeah.
I think they could get worse, though. Like, I just don't see the youth prospects.
Yeah. That is very concerning.
And I'm sorry, bro, but playing for like Hibernian or Hibernathian, I don't know how you pronounce it in Scotland, that's not a good enough level. There should be more Australians in like the Bundesliga in France and leagues like that. You rarely see them. I mean, like Harry Sutar is a unicorn because he's in the championship.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like, I don't get it because it's a very wealthy country too. Like, I understand soccer ain't the priority, but for the love of God, like we got to get some young promising kids in here.
It is interesting though, because their best player for me for the last couple of years has been Jackson Irvine.
Yeah.
But he wasn't necessarily a youth prospect either. Like, he got good once he was like 24, 25, 26. So I think that's how Australia kind of operate.
Yeah.
They just have a lot of players in Asia and in Europe, and they just pick the best 11 that works in whatever tournament they're going to play in. And I think that's just how Australia operate. But yeah, I agree. Youth prospects, it's not there. I don't know if it really ever is there, though.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's the point I was going to make, is that I feel like they're late bloomers over in Australia.
Yeah.
Like, I never really hear about it, like an upcoming Australian player that's like on the rise. But beyond that, I think it's a good thing they're stuck ultimately, because I've never known an elite Australian side. Yeah. I've never known it, and I don't think it will exist. And so I think where they're at right now as one of the top teams in the AFC region, I think is good enough for what they are and what they're capable of as a country.
Yeah,
it's pretty
I
straightforward.
was going to say, do you like Iran? I want to keep going around the big teams in Asia. No? You don't think they're good for anything?
I think they
good for nothing.
Shy on down bad.
Hey, Sean knows where I stay. I just don't think that Iran are getting better. I think this current team was freaking stacked.
I know.
And they're all getting older. And if they're not that old, they're mad injury prone. I don't see the youth prospects for Iran. I don't know how they're going to keep pace with Japan or Saudi Arabia. Like, Saudi Arabia's youth teams are nasty. And they're pouring money into that thing.
Yeah.
Even Qatar, like, I don't know. I'd be very concerned for the future of Iranian football. I think the fact that the culture is so strong will keep them. They'll always be relevant, but they might have to take a step back and become kind of just like a grumpy, feisty old team that's annoying to play against versus a team that's gonna out-tech you. But they got some ballers right now. But who's up next? Every Iranian I talk to, they say nobody's up next.
Dang, that's a good point. I mean, the players that they have now are already established in Europe, but it's been like that for a while. I can't remember his name, but there was a midfielder that played for Iran, but he plays in the Iranian league, and he's already like 27. There's not a lot going for Iran, and it's super disappointing because their team is right now so good, but the fact that they kind of crumbled in the semifinal of the AFC Asian Cup this year was super disappointing. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you. Very disappointing, I think, to be an Iranian fan.
Yeah, you got to be looking in the mirror and be like, this could be a rough decade.
Yeah.
I think for Iran.
Yeah. Just wait for the next generation.
Yeah, if that next generation is even as good. And we're talking about some teams here like Uzbekistan, Tajikistan.
Right.
Arguably the strongest they've ever been. Jordan, I mean, Jordan have had really good showings at the Asian Cup before, but if you are stagnant as the Asian game, both in East and West Asia, gets better, that's a dangerous place to be. And that's why I have fears for my Australian brothers and sisters as well, because right now y'all are like the track and field big ass athletes playing against, you know, your Asian competition, and right now that's enough to cover the I guess the technical ability. But that's not always going to be the case.
Yeah.
And so if you don't get better and all you're doing is bench pressing and doing pull-ups, eventually you're going to fall off. And so that's kind of, I'm not predicting that for Australia. I think they'll always be a powerhouse.
Yeah.
But based on physicality, nothing more.
When those mustaches come in, something changes.
Well, they're like, I was going to say they're the only like Asian country that can grow facial hair, but I completely ignored like West Asia entirely when I was thinking that. Really, it's just like East Asia where the facial hair is lacking, bro. Does anyone have a beard on Japan or Korea?
Oh,
Hidden Masamarita's got the
beard.
He's got the goatee.
No.
and the staff.
No, there's no way.
Not
Right?
like
an
a
easy
beard.
no.
Not a beard.
No, those rugby jeans in the
No,
Australians.
Dyson
is going
Maeda's got
strong.
a stash.
It's got him in a
too.
vice grip.
I don't
Yeah.
think anyone has facial hair on the entire Korean side.
Yeah. No,
Jackson Irvine, best mustache in world football.
Amazing.
Yeah, in
mustache.
world football, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, 100%.
I dream when I had to shave a few weeks ago. I was dreaming about that mustache. I was like, I need it. I need it
You
back,
can pull it off.
dude.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah.
God damn. Who's their right back? Who? Oh gosh, Johnston. I can't remember, but he's also got fantastic facial hair for Australia.
Oh yeah.
Yes, very good player. But then, yeah, once you get to Iran, I mean, bro, they bearded up.
Oh my goodness.
And
Yeah.
Tajikistan,
The
too, they got
perfect
beards,
beards.
Perfect.
Immaculate. The Saudis have some phenomenal beards as well.
And we'll end it on that. Folks, thank you so much for coming along to the Give and Go podcast. I cannot thank Deadball TV enough for making the drive down to our studio. What an episode it has been. What an experience it has been sharing this podcasting stage with you guys. And it is a true honor. Honestly, guys, thank you guys so much for coming. This was an absolute blast. And please plug your own stuff so that people can check you out.
Yeah, man. First off, we were super excited as soon as you extended the invite to be here. I had an awesome time. God knows how long we've been recording for, but it's really flown by. And I think hopefully the audience really enjoys the content because I've absolutely loved these conversations. And if you guys did, make sure you leave a like on the video and hit subscribe. You can find us on Deadball TV on YouTube. Our social media links are all at Deadball TV. I'm sure we'll give it to you guys. You can put it in the description.
Yes, sir. We'll pull up to Houston next time for the next class.
Fellas,
That'd be
let's do it.
fun.
Let's go to
It's
Houston.
been a blast. It's been a while since I got to flex like this and have actual, like, really wonderful conversation. I feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
No, seriously, like it's cathartic, honestly.
It
Getting
is.
it all out.
Like, there is sanity in the footballing world. We have found it. Thank God.
Hey, it's hard to find people that you can really dig deep on a lot of these conversations.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
football is a very popular sport, but so much of it is surface level. And so I really do relish these opportunities where we can like get in the nitty gritty about everything. It's awesome.
Yeah. Deadball TV, the Give and Go collab has finished. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.